Okay, and we are live. AP, you there?
What? Yeah.
Oh, I've left you hanging there. Yeah, it's getting everything set up right now. Everyone's starting to trickle in. Hey, Pharmacy World, I am Jeremy Counts, aka Lord Dr. Jeremy, aka Hokey Farm. I am here at the Express Scripts protest here in St. Louis, out in front of Express Scripts headquarters. To all the pharmacists out there, I know you're upset. I know you are going through a lot. Owners have a lot of stress on them. A lot of mental health issues are going on right now. A lot of financial stress. Just know that there are people that care about you, that will help you whatever you're going through. And you can contact me or Putt or any of us, and we will try our best to help you in whatever way we can. You're not alone. There are people fighting for you, and there are people that care about you. To patients, it's really, really good to see patients out here. It's good to see that they're supporting us and what we're going through, and they recognize that we've been supporting them this entire time. Like that really means a lot. And to all of the Express Scripts, Cigna, conglomerate corpos out there, execs, go fuck yourself. You corpo vampires have just drained everything out of healthcare. You don't add value to the system, you extract value from the system. You run a money planner on pharmacist sweat, and you build maintenance out of patient bones. You suck, and we're coming for you. AP, how are you doing?
I thought this must be PG-13. Here I am trying to be
That was
normal.
PG-13. You shit.
I don't know.
Say
Go
shit during
fuck yourself.
PG-13.
Go fuck yourself. Times.
You're allowed one. You're allowed one in PG-13 movies, but you did two. So.
Gosh. Yeah. So I'm trying to get for work because I do have to work today. I can't be there with you guys. Wish I was.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Man,
Yeah. I flew in last night, and You said what?
We both get instant board investigations for what the shit we were going to be saying.
Oh, man. If they hadn't come at us yet, then, I'm sure they're waiting for something huge.
Damn. Not going to be very long. But no,
they'll come eventually.
Looks like you guys have a somewhat good turnout. At least from
it's not even
what the
started
cam
yet.
I can say. I know.
This is when people are starting to arrive. We've got over 100 registered, and then another 50 to 100 supposedly coming. So, I mean, that's significant turnout for something we threw together. I'm really proud of everyone and what they've put together.
Are you guys going to boo every car that comes out of the parking lot?
We might. That is really mild compared to what I wanted to do.
Well,
but I think there's they said something about health department and buckets of feces not being allowed, and it's a whole thing. I really thought we were gonna really go forward on this one, but maybe next time.
Account shut down. Don't get this account shut down too.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get banned from Twitter again.
Oh well, third time's the charm. But
third time's the charm.
Yeah, man, make your third account, man. Then you won't get banned.
Yay!
But yeah, just for the people at home who are just kind of tuning into this and wonder why Express Scripts. Well, in California we have two Medicare Part D plans that are a dual eligible plan, meaning that they basically get their premiums paid for by Medicaid. Dual eligibles, every state has them. Both plans are administered by Express Scripts. Both plans, the trade names like insulin, $40 under cost. Heaven forbid somebody write a Ozempic script, $114 under cost. Every single brand name is $14. It's not 14. Is between maybe $20 and $100 under cost. Every single one. So yeah, it's to the point where if a patient gets 10 generics, now you're only making about $5 or $6 for a 90-day supply of one generic. So say they're on 4 generics. Okay, you're making $40 every 3 months. You're losing 40 to $80 on a 30-day supply of a brand name prescription. So you get $40 every 3 months and losing $40 on one med every month. That's how bad it is.
Oh, it's awful. And it hits your cash flow because they're so expensive too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, what cash flow? The cash flow's negative.
There's no cash.
The cash flow's going out the other
negative.
way. Yeah,
it's disgusting.
So, I mean, really what pharmacies are doing is pharmacies are just relying on the plans that don't suck, that actually pay us above cost on this stuff, and they are subsidizing, pieces of shit like Express Scripts, who do these contracts.
Money from sick people.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it is. Is they're screwing everyone over and making.
It's like Antonio Series.
And they're making what, $400 hochillion in profit. Which I'm not against a company making money, but don't make it off the backs of people, of your patients, and the people who serve your patients. That's where my issue is.
Yeah. It's Antonio over at 46 Brooklyn has this really good series called Money from Sick People. And if you've not read it, you really need to. And it discusses how brand rebates and 340B and a number of other programs are being used right now to extract money from actual sick patients and providers. And it's giving spread to these PBMs and these conglomerates in a way where the employers and the insurance companies are going to come out okay on it most of the time. The employers end up getting a lot taken away from them, but the PBMs and the insurers make bank, and all that money comes from extraction through inflated drug costs that sick people pay more for.
Of course. That's just, I mean, it's because really, somebody posted this on Twitter. I forget who. I'm sure that someone will correct me because people love to correct me. Is that when the PBMs talk about competition, they are in competition. They are in competition to lower the drug prices. They are in competition to see what drug company will give them the highest rebate. Oh, I guess we can call it rebate, kickback, rebates, bribes, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where their competition is that they are in competition with two competing drug manufacturers to say, okay, which one will you give me the greatest kickback? And in turn, in order for the drug companies to make their cost on their production costs, they need to increase the price. Like we've been saying all along. If I have something that I'm selling to you that costs me $100 to make, okay, you want to promote my product, but you want to buy it for say $40 and get the rest in a incentive, bribe, whatever you want. Well, right now I'm underwater on that product. I'm selling it to you for less than it cost me. So I need to increase the price for everybody else to cover the cost, to pay for the rebate that I am giving you to put my product so that way I can sell it, because these drug companies can't sell products just like on the street. They don't have the infrastructure to sell directly to us. So they rely on the PBMs. Yeah, oh yeah, they would. They absolutely would. It'd be a whole lot cheaper. Man, what's up with that background,
we got
man?
Shane, the accidental pharmacist, in. Yeah, that is a killer background.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What the hell is that background?
Hey, what's up, man?
That's what I would be dressed in if I was there, actually.
Let me see.
You should just make a gown, like a gala gown of CVS receipts. Just have them draped down, have it's like a wedding dress with like a train and everything else, just of CVS receipts.
I actually wanted to do that and wear it to the Remington dinner that APHA has, but I figured they wouldn't let me into the building if I did that. So
Well, hell, you're a real pharmacist and not a student.
Oh, just wait
So I'm
until we go
surprised
to
they let
APHA
you in
next year.
anyway.
And we'll have a blast. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, I know. It's a good thing after work today.
Oh.
You can't sit on this
But
all
yeah,
day.
Shane, I wish you could be here,
I
man.
know. I wish I could too. Like I'm with you guys in solidarity.
Oh, my
I
God.
wanted to be there so bad, but got so many trips. You know, I was in where the hell was it? I was in Florida for APHA and then Western Pharmacy Exchange, and I knew Maurice was going, so at least we had somebody from the Pharmacy Guild there.
Damn.
Yeah.
I just go to work at home.
Yeah, Maurice, I should be around here soon.
So
What are we
we
looking at?
have,
Yeah, go ahead.
we have the infamous Julie Bach in
Yeah.
the house. Julie, come over and say hi to the world.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. Here, use this mic for now.
Okay, I love
This
the,
should pick up pretty
I
well.
love the puffy shirt.
Oh, yeah. I did it. I'm dressed right now. I thought that maybe the script people would get hungry and come over to feed, so I decided to dress as a corporate vampire to blend in so that I would not actually have my blood drained.
I love that. I love it.
The actually
It's
fact
bringing
you
back
own that
Sein-
shirt makes me question you.
It's actually giving me some Seinfeld vibes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Puffy shirt.
Yes. I love that. I can't even see that, but I don't need to see that. It's really nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's great to meet you too.
I've listened to you and your foul mouth.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I know. People seem to like it for some reason.
Listen, it's different, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to say these things, and I do.
I love it. Love it.
Yes, and I love what you all do. Like your online presence, everything. Like it does. Like it really puts a lot of info out there that I was not aware of on like the provider side. Like it's been really, really educational.
The provider side is a
Yeah.
freaking dumpster fire, which is one
yeah.
of my favorite memes to tweet with them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we so need our individual independent pharmacists, and nobody would ever choose these people.
No,
Ever.
God,
The only way they can get patients is if they're mandated. And I
Yeah.
spend a whole lot of my time trying to get the prior authorizations and the bullshit through them.
Yeah.
And they harm patients. That's all they do. They insert themselves between my office and between your office
Exactly.
and try to direct what we do and then make you pay for it.
They shouldn't be allowed to be called healthcare companies because that's not what they do. They don't provide actual care. They are a financial instrument that is there to extract value from the system, take value away from patients, take value away from the providers, and it's got to the point where being a provider, a pharmacy, or someone else is not profitable. So you've taken all the profit out of the actual contributors to the system, and you've loaded up with these, leeches, these fat, bloated-ass leeches, and the entire system's going to collapse because of it. And we're all going to get hurt in the meantime, and everyone's just going to shrug their shoulders like we didn't fucking tell them it was coming. That's what's killing me, is we've told them this was coming for years, and everyone's just like him and haw because they're so rich and they can do whatever they want. They control the entire game.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. My office is about 5 miles from here, and this community where Express Scripts is headquartered in is a very marginalized community. The people that live in this area are struggling while these fat cats sit up here smoking cigars and making bank deposits on the backs of our patients. And you know what? Every single person's a patient. You're a patient, I'm a patient. Those morons are somehow patients, but I wouldn't want to take care of any of them. Actually, that's not true. I shouldn't say that. We actually...
I will. Fuck them.
All right, there it is. So we have patients that used to that still work at Express Scripts, and I terminated our Cigna contract in August of 2023. And you know what Cigna's response to me was?
What's that?
Mermaid hair, we don't care. Go. And there's such a rheumatologist shortage. They have network inadequacy. These patients have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
All of the insurance companies do, but Express Scripts is the worst. And I have former patients that work there that say, I wish you guys could have worked it out with Cigna. I want to come back. They're stuck. They are stuck with this vertical alignment and letting The top suits at Express Scripts direct their therapy plans and their prescriptions.
Oh yeah, they direct everything. They tell them what they can take, where they can go. They tell them how much they have to pay. While they make a fortune, and they call it health care, and it's not.
It's denial and delayed care.
Denial and delayed care. They have an economic incentive, a financial incentive to deny care and to pay for as less as possible, for as least as possible, and to keep all that money to themselves. So they're going to take as much money from the employers as they can. They're going to take as much money from the patients as they can, from the manufacturers, from the pharmacies, from the providers. They're going to withhold as much as they can, and they are going to sit on mountains of money. And because they have mountains of money, they can pay off politicians and scuttle these things to not even get them out of committee. And that happens on the state level, it happens on the national level. All they need is one or two well-placed donations, and it destroys an entire thing that has years of work put into it and a ton of political goodwill. And they're good at it. They know what they're doing. They're always 4 steps ahead. And we've got to start thinking 4 steps ahead, 4 or 5. And we've got to start seeing it. When we see something in the contract that looks weird, we've got to question everything, because nothing they do is going to benefit us in any way.
Well, it's really easy to be good at something when you're completely well-funded, like the PBMs are. You know, you and I have to pay for this, and we have to try to keep our doors open, and it's getting increasingly harder. The last 24 months have been a disaster, and I see the writing on the wall. The independent physicians are going to have the same fate of the independent pharmacies. But I have a little bit of hope, because there is a huge movement right now to bring to see sight into the underbelly of this corruption in the industry of the PBMs. You're seeing lawsuits. You're seeing J&J's employees suing J&J's CFO for mandating to Express Scripts and charging them thousands of dollars for prescriptions that could have been 20 or 30 bucks. So we are seeing change. We just saw Granger come out and sue Aetna for siphoning off all their healthcare dollars. This is going to happen. It's going to be the same changes we saw in the 401k industry a decade ago. That's what's going to happen here, and I am here for it. Yes, I'm here for it, and we've got to focus. Legislatively, we got to get things done. We've also got to bring market solutions. We've got to bring a few things, because these are vertically integrated companies. They will move money around. If we try to regulate the PBMs, they're going to shift money elsewhere. We've got medical loss ratio with insurance, which is why they bought so many PBMs. But we're seeing, and Antonio's research with 46 Brooklyn, I don't think he's released it yet, but keep your eyes peeled for that. It's coming out soon. They've shifted a significant amount to mail order and specialty pharmacy, and because PBMs are being so scrutinized right now, so they've shifted a lot of money to their actual mail order and specialty pharmacies to keep the spread there. We have to break them up. That's the biggest thing. There are too many incentives there. There are too many misaligned incentives for them to exist, especially in their current state. We've got to gut these Fortune 15 companies, or they're going to gut us. Absolutely. And you know what? I would love to just say one thing about, you talked about specialty medicines. As a rheumatologist's office, there's a huge target on our back because of the prices of the specialty medicines we prescribe. Let me clear this up for the people in the back. Specialty medicines are not special. They're just expensive, okay? There is no reason why an independent pharmacist can't fill those prescriptions. There's nothing special about them. Regular ass medicine that has a big margin, that's specialty med. Yep, and so, we are seeing more and more direct contracts with the self-funded employers to the pharmacists doing the work and to the physicians doing the work. And we're cutting out the middleman of the pharmacy benefit managers and the insurance companies, because they are siphoning off healthcare dollars away from the employers and the patients. Exactly. I've been talking to some larger companies, their benefits people, and I'm trying to get them to in-house their prescription benefits, do a carve-out. If they do that, and they allow pharmacies to just bill them directly and ping off of a server that they're running their own switch, and they use the PBM like a pass-through PBM to get their rebates and set their formulary, and they just pay them based on that and none of the processing, they will save a fortune. You model it off of West Virginia and Kentucky and the other states that are doing it, and they're saving a fortune doing it.
if you do that, and I call it disintermediation, which is what the Cigna old CEO called it. He said his biggest fear in healthcare for insurance companies was disintermediation, and the employers figuring out that they can do this shit themselves is really not all that complicated.
It's not complicated,
No.
but because Express Scripts has managed to keep it super opaque, they keep telling the employers and the CFOs, you can't handle this. You need to run your business. Let me run your health plan into the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not hard. You remove the middleman between the physicians and the patients and the pharmacists and the patients, and let us get back to practicing medicine, and let the pharmacists get back to the important work they do of protecting the patients.
Exactly. Like, we're out here to serve our communities. We don't want to sit around and play these games, these reimbursement games, where they'll underpay us on a drug that they're going to owe us money for, or they will come around and they will pay us a ton on a money that they're going to come back a few months later and take a ton of money from, and we're at a loss for. We don't know how much we're paid. How messed up is that? We don't know how much we're paid.
Yeah.
We just guess at this point and just hope. Oh, Julie, pleasure.
Nice to meet you. Big fan.
Nah, big fan of you.
All right, well, I'll be fangirling over here.
Shane and AP, you all feel free to jump in on these combos.
Your
I
mic
have
gain
people in and
is
out
too
all
low.
day.
I was listening.
is
I was
too low.
listening. Everything she said, I was in total agreement with. It's hard to jump in when you're getting preached to like that, because everything was spot on. It's funny,
Yo.
like, oh, who we got here?
Who do you think? Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Oh, scoot in there. You like my puffy shirt?
I do. You make me want to go arg.
Yeah, there we go, Seinfeld. Everyone, this is Doug from NCPA. Y'all know.
Yep.
How you doing?
Yeah.
How's it going?
We got Shane, the accidental pharmacist. I'm sure you know Shane.
Yeah.
And we've got AP, the angry pharmacist, the legend himself, the mercurial man-child. He's here as
The
well.
legend himself.
Like the gang is all here.
The gang is all here.
All right.
So you in for this and get us going?
I'm gonna say something that I hope gets people going, and we need Express Scripts to change. I mean, they're the worst of the worst.
Yeah, they're terrible. Like,
They're
you're gonna
the
go up,
worst
you're
of
gonna
the
have me
worst.
pounding my chest, you're gonna Paul Atreides this stuff?
That'll be up to you. You'll see what kind of emotion we can bring up within you, and how much
Good.
you've had to drink today too.
Unfortunately, none.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I
then
know.
I don't know if I'll
really,
get you
really want to
pounding or
drink.
not. Yeah.
It's off the vibe of PBM on the rocks for me not to be nearly blacked out, but here I am.
Yeah,
Everybody
right.
keeps
Well, I
everybody
wondered if
keeps
this was really
saying
water.
Express Scripts is
I
the
wish.
worst of the worst, but it's definitely a race to the bottom here for sure. I mean, they got some contenders in the wings, definitely vying for the worst of the worst for sure.
That's for sure. I mean, I think CVS Aetna is really offended that Express Scripts has taken their role as the worst PBM in the country. But so I've seen some things where they're trying to get that honor back.
Yeah. So what's our game plan right now, Doug? Like, you lead pharmacies, especially independent pharmacies. What's our game plan? Like, we're going and we're getting some legislation in, but you know as well as I do, we're going to get this passed. They're going to find new ways to just like dodge around or whatever. You know, we got the FTC and we can try to do breakups, and that's really what we should be going for. But I'm not sure if Antonio's released it or not. He was going to release it a few days ago. What we're seeing right now is like what happened in Florida Medicaid when they banned the spread pricing. We're seeing them shift a ton of the money over to their specialty and mail order pharmacies, and they're making bank doing that while underpaying all of us. So while they're this integrated, we can regulate the PBMs all we want, but they're just going to move it elsewhere. It's a huge shell game. They're going to get their spread from somewhere. How are we going to target all the rest of that?
Well, honestly, as long as we get paid fairly, I don't care as much about the shell. I do care about the shell games because I think it's bad for truth, justice, and the American way. I think PBMs cause drugs to cost more, which is bad for consumers, bad for healthcare, and bad for pharmacy. I don't care if they exist as long as they treat pharmacies fairly.
Yeah.
I prefer they didn't exist, but hey, we can coexist. Just don't make it a one-sided affair.
Yeah.
Make it so that pharmacies can do what we do, which is take care of people, make a decent living, and then get out of our way. So, but I don't think they're going to do that. To your point, they're going to continue to be greedy and try to take all of it.
They don't negotiate in good faith. Every time that
They don't.
we think
wait,
they do, they screw us.
They don't do what?
Negotiate.
That's
in good faith, yes.
yeah.
No,
They
they
don't
don't.
do any kind of negotiation at all. That's not in their vocabulary. I mean, I think that we do have to use DOJ, Department of Justice, FTC. All of those are defense.
Yeah.
Congress, that's defense.
Yes.
But any winning team has. I mean, you are a big football fan.
Yeah.
You have an offense and a defense. You got to have an offense. So the offense is the marketplace. Things we can do in the marketplace. Some of the services have been talked about in pharmacy school since forever. But then also we got to realize they're selling you. They're selling you and you
Yep.
and you. And if you don't want to be sold, then you got to do something about it. I mean, so every time they sign you up for one of their contracts, they just sold you. Sometimes that's okay, because part of the bargain is you get some patients that come into your door.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you're losing
selling
money on those patients.
you. Then don't let them sell you,
Yeah, exactly.
because that's the network is what they have to give. When they go out and shop it to a payer, what they're selling is you. They're selling a pharmacy network.
Yes.
And if they don't have that to sell, they don't have anything. Now, you want to be in their network because they bring some patients to you. But if it's not a fair term, at some point, and it's easier said than done, you've got to stop letting them sell you and you and you and all of our members.
Yeah, they have 80% of the game. Like, it's hard to just like say no to them.
Absolutely.
But it's one of those things where we kind of have to now because they're just running us into the dirt. Now, I've discussed this with a number of companies, as well as I've ran it by lawyers, and what if we were to go to some of the larger companies and convince them to do a carve-out? There is an issue with them using one of the larger insurers, because when they do that, they can make it cost prohibitive by saying, oh, well, if you don't bundle this, you're going to pay more on the other end. And they'll take a loss up front to keep that business. But if we were to go to the employers and convince them to do a carve-out and have them ping off of their own switch that pharmacies bill directly, they don't have to have contracts for networks. They don't have to do that. They can set their own reimbursement rates.
Yep.
And pharmacies can ping off of it, and that's a real, actual market. And yeah, you might pay a little more for like a lisinopril fill, but you're going to save a ton of money on everything else.
Right.
And so you actually have a market solution there. You don't have to have contracts. You have pharmacies that can say, well, maybe I'll take this one, or, they're not paying well enough and I won't, and then they'll have to raise their prices. That's an actual market. What they're doing isn't it? It's a perversion.
Absolutely. This is not the marketplace at work. It's why it's a one-sided network. It's not the marketplace at work. To your point about going to the employers, yes, and I think CPSN has some programs and where they can bundle together not just the services and the dispensing. We need them both. We need to get paid fairly for the dispensing. The services we need revenue from, but it's not going to be enough money to cover the money that we need from the dispensing side. We need both. And we need more on the revenue side, but we've got to make sure we're paid fairly on the dispensing.
Yeah.
So, but you start on the employers. I think one of the keys is, rather than start from the big guys down, to start from the smaller employers up. And by smaller could be, 300 employees, 500 employees, which, is a pretty good sized company, but not because the really big guys, employers, they're in on the game too.
Oh yeah, of course.
They're making money with the PBMs off the backs of the employees, so they're getting some payola as well. So
you'd be a little surprised though when I talk to some of these brokers or some of these people that work for the benefits, the prescription benefits for these large companies. They don't know how it works on our end. They know what they're told. They have no clue how it works on our end. They don't know how they're playing these games to get this spread. They don't know that the independents are getting paid so low that they're dying. And that's why I like what Cuban's doing is important, because he's bringing attention to it and he's getting employers to look. That's why I think trying to strike right now while the large employers are paying attention, that might be a good way to go.
So one thing you're going to hear me talk about in just a few minutes.
Go ahead.
Some of the things I'm going to talk about are some large companies, not just companies, but also some universities. And I'm going to name about a half dozen. Why these half dozen? Just because it's a sample.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people to finger on this. But these companies are putting small businesses, whether they know it or not, out of business.
Yeah, they are.
Even some of their own alumnus or some of their own investors, they're putting out of business. And they need to know. So like, for example, Texas A&M University, they use Express Scripts. Johnson & Johnson, they use Express Scripts. Disney uses Express Scripts.
Yep.
Morgan Stanley uses Express Scripts. I think we have people who rely on a Morgan Stanley to look at their finances or to invest their finances, who are pharmacy. They're putting their own customers out of business by using Express Scripts, and they need to know that. They need to be accountable for it.
Yeah, they definitely need to be accountable for it, and the public needs to know, these employers need to know, and politicians, they've known for years. It's been hard to get them to really understand. Like, that's been a struggle, but they're finally starting to get it, and it's really about exposure, and it's exposure and transparency, and the more we're bringing to light and the more we dig in, the more data we get from like all of these companies, all of these PBMs, the more data we're getting from physicians and patients sharing it with us, and we're looking across the board, the more we see they're doing, the more apparent it's becoming that it's a racket. It's actual racketeering.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
Yeah, agreed. One other thing, in addition to the companies, and we'll be rolling this out in a couple, probably 2 to 3 weeks. And so I want your listeners to participate in this. I want everyone in pharmacy to participate in it, talking about consumers.
Yeah.
We need to get consumers activated, because you said, hey, yeah, the politicians are starting to understand it, and they are, but politicians get swayed.
Oh, they get swayed.
As you know, by a little,
And it
payment
doesn't
under
even
the
have to be
table.
all of them, just a few of them. Just a few on a committee, a few over here to just like sway a vote or two, and you get an entire thing that would have passed overwhelmingly destroyed.
And these guys over here across the street, they know exactly whose buttons to push, who to grease the skids a little bit.
Yeah. That's why I think we've got to make it really uncomfortable for politicians and everyone else to do this to us. Like, we got to start getting in their faces like this. We've got to start making it to where they're going to get annoyed if they cross us.
We need to make it uncomfortable for them, and I don't know. So pharmacies, right now we have about 5 to 10% of pharmacy owners who are really active doing stuff. If we had 90%, they'd be annoyed. We could get that dripping faucet to annoy them. But the other thing is, how many millions of patients walk through our pharmacy's doors every single day? We could get some of them calling members of Congress to say, hey, you're putting my pharmacy out of business. And actually, this consumer campaign is going to be about them, about the consumer. It's going to be, help me lower my drug prices.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to try to explain PBMs to consumers. I mean, it's so complicated. They're not going to, it's not that they're not smart, but they're not going to understand it. But this consumer campaign is going to be about lowering my drug costs and having thousands, tens of thousands of consumers contact members of Congress.
Yeah.
Tell them to finish their freaking job.
You can say fuck on this.
All right.
Yeah. It's cool. It's PBM on the rocks. I get drunk and curse at lawmakers. It's fun.
Yeah. Not my style, but, I'm not above it. So
what about
rolling out?
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to ask you, what about activating our natural allies in this fight? So independent pharmacies using McKesson, Cardinal, Amerisource, Bergen, if we're all a lot of independent pharmacies are circling the drain right now because of the lack of fair reimbursement. So at what point do McKesson and Bergen and Amerisource start suffering because of the lack of patients? I mean, they're the ones who service drugs to us. So they're gonna see a financial impact from independent pharmacies going out of business. So how can we utilize them and leverage them in this fight?
Your customers. So I would use that. I mean, we can certainly talk to them as an NCPA, absolutely, and we do, and they are helpful. But they also have, as I'm sure you all know, they have big accounts with the PBMs too. And so you take that into. I'm not literally saying you take it into their CFO's office, but probably you take it into their CFO's office and he says, hey, we want to advantage, the way they would hear it, advantage one customer over another. So they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place in some places. That said, they understand that if independent pharmacies go away, they've lost the franchise. I mean, even though they're multifaceted and have other lines of business, independents are still their bread and butter and probably their biggest profit center.
I'm not entirely sure that the wholesalers get that, though, because they've forced a ton of buying groups back to the bargaining table, and their shares are trading far higher than they were after they did that.
Oh, yeah.
They're making more money. They forced a lot of us back to the negotiating table, citing, this is just how the industry's going, and we're all getting screwed. They abandoned us when we needed them the most. So I'm not sure but also we're so focused on reimbursement right now, it's hard to split, all of our efforts. But wholesalers, they're going to have to be a target soon. They're going to have to be something that we work on because they are absolutely a problem.
Well, I think kind of circling back to what's the plan. So I think rethinking. So some of the things that we've been doing as far as Congress, we still need to keep doing that. But rethinking the activation of consumers, getting more of them involved, and then also, I think, naming names. We've got to name names of who these customers are that are using companies like Express Scripts and putting independent pharmacies out of business, hurting consumers. Whether they know about it or not, we need to start naming names and asking these customers of these PBMs, asking them for accountability. Hey, you're a customer, you're paying them tens of millions of dollars. At the same time, you're hurting your own constituents. Explain yourself.
Yeah, and it's going to be an effort on so many fronts, and that's why, especially here lately, we need you all to be diplomats at NCPA, but we got to play dirty too. We got to start playing real dirty, Doug. We've got to really have an arm that goes out there and we make people uncomfortable, and we don't want it to come back to you all because you got to be our good face. But we got to start playing dirty.
Well, sometimes we have to be the grown-up in the room. But I can tell you, me being here,
it's really good you came.
Is not necessarily being the grown-up in the room, but I don't care because I'm tired of what companies like Express Scripts. I've been tired for a long time, and when this came up, it was like, yes or no. But yeah, I mean, what do we have to lose? I mean, I don't mean that because there are some things we would have to lose with certain things that were done.
What are they going to do, Doug? Pay me less?
No. I'm not talking about being here. I'm not talking about being here, about me, but I'm not, just as far as taking it to extreme, what do we have to lose?
Yeah.
But, I mean, we do need to be the grown-up in the room that when there's actual, of course, we don't do contract negotiations, but when Congress says, what the hell's going on out here, they can go to us and we can, tell them what's going on.
Yeah.
But on the other, not a but, and we've got to make it uncomfortable. I think I don't know if this protest will make the people at Express Scripts uncomfortable or not. I'm not sure that it does. They don't like it. I've heard that.
Yeah.
So maybe it does make them a little uncomfortable.
They don't like attention. We're just getting warmed up.
They don't like the attention.
We're just getting warmed up. This is going to be happening a whole lot more.
That's the key, is getting their name in the news, and especially having their customers' names in the news. That will make them uncomfortable.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If we can get their name synonymous, even more than it is, to the general public as evil corporation, or as I'm dressed, corpo vampires. We do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah, I thought it really was the Jerry Seinfeld, the puffy shirt. Yeah.
Oh no! At first I was looking at puffy shirts because of the whole Lord Dr. Jeremy thing, but then I was like, no, I need to go as a corporate vampire.
Okay.
Because if they get hungry and come over and start feeding, I need to blend in.
See, I missed that. I this whole styling. I thought maybe you were going to a wedding or something after this. Or
oh man, that'd be.
It looks like Prince.
I do. I wait until I've got my maroon blazer over there. If I put it on, I look like I'm in a Prince cover band.
Yeah, I could put a raspberry beret on, something like that.
Yeah, I thought about coming over and being like, oh man, I'm dressing here as Prince for one of St. Louis's greatest natives, and have everyone be like, he's not from St. Louis.
Yeah, we can get you a purple coat, purple sports coat there. You have purple.
Yeah, that's my blazer right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's sort of purpley. That's
it's maroon.
That's
I wear it to ball games.
I was gonna say that reminds me of Virginia Tech.
That's exactly what it is.
I know it is.
Yeah.
Hey, since I got you guys here, and this just happened pretty recently, I wanted to ask you about SB 198 in Georgia and what your thoughts are on that. Is it really going to, all these state legislatures that are putting through these bills and they're passing almost unanimously, and then for something like that to get to the point of Governor Kemp's desk and for him to veto it. So do you think that we're going to have to really push things on a national level in order to prevent that, or are these things making a difference on a state level that push forth these PBM bills?
I'll let you go first, Doug.
Yeah, I definitely think they're making a difference on the state level, but it's not everything's created equally. You've got a lot of shots on goal with states. What is it, 200 pieces of legislation or more were introduced in states in this last session. Not all of them went through. Probably a fraction of them did. But I think the key is that the fraction that does go through, that they're quality bills, and there's enforcement, and there's funding for the enforcement. Tennessee, I know, we talked to people from Tennessee and they've got some folks unhappy with some of that enforcement, but at least, I'm just using them as an example, they've got some enforcement mechanisms in some of the legislation they've passed. The Georgia thing, man, frickin' disappointing. The governor, once again, seemed like he was swayed by big money. We do have some research coming out that will help show that PBM legislation does not increase costs, which of course is what the PBMs always say is if you do anything to touch us, it's going to cost more, which is of course a lie. But we do have some legislation that, or not research that someone's doing for us that's going to, I don't know what it'll show, but I sure hope it shows that's a complete lie.
Yeah, it is a complete lie. And it sucks because like most everyone in Georgia was behind this, I mean, clearly, but also from what I'm hearing, and I'm not sure at what level I can discuss it, he was signaling the entire way that he was going to pass and was asking them not to bring it up, and they brought it up anyway. So kudos to the state lawmakers in Georgia for, you know, pushing that and letting it be known like we really need this to happen. But it sucks because you can just have a few politicians really sideline a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's really a shame because
this should be
a nonpartisan issue. Anybody who supports small business on either side of the aisle should be able to get behind these pieces of legislation. And I was really, really disappointing when I saw that. And I thought this was an opportunity for us to like really highlight, you know, that at the highest level, all it takes is a handful of politicians to really ruin a lot of the work that a lot of people put into trying to make real change when it comes to PBM reform.
Yeah, and it is bipartisan because we have both parties working with us, and we have both parties behind a lot of this. They don't like it happening, but you know, when you have a few politicians that are sitting on certain committees or have certain powers, they can sideline a lot of it. And you can have all the political will in the world, but if it's not brought up for a vote, it's not going to get through. It's like what happened in Kentucky. They lucked up getting that bill through. Talk to Joel Thornberry about how they got it through. That really gave me a lot of inspiration on how to work on like the state level and how to push it. They kept pressure up, and they got lucky is how they got it through. They kept a ton of pressure up. They used every single string that they can pull with every single politician, every single personal connection they had to get it through, and they still barely got it through. In Virginia, just recently, well, a few years ago, really, time flies, when we got our PBM bill through, it wasn't like at this level of like what Georgia's doing, but it was a good bill. We got it through, and we lucked up because someone voted wrong. Like, it's at that level. They come in at the last minute and they scuttle everything, and it's really hard to defend. You can educate these politicians. You can have logic on your side. You can have everything on your side, but they have a ton of resources, and they know how to target it. And they go in and they target the right people, and they just scuttle everything. And it's hard to defend against that. It's so hard.
You know, one thing I think we need to look at along those lines, because you're right. I mean, a couple of the most disappointing answers I have ever heard from members of Congress. I was at a breakfast, this is like a year ago, sitting next to this member of Congress. I won't name his name, but he's on our side. I mean, even before I can bring up PBMs, he's saying, oh, us PBMs are terrible, they're awful. And it's like, yeah, you're singing my tune, man. But then I say, okay, so how come the government keeps hiring them? How come the biggest customer is the federal government? Well, they've got a lot of money. I'm like, that's the big, so one thing that can be done, and it's getting harder with the super PACs and the dark money that's out there, but and I think it's easier on the state side, is to see who's getting their palms greased by these PBMs. Now, especially on the state side, some of those legislators are lifers. Some of them come and go pretty quickly. But to be able to call out, and maybe you've got a local newspaper, as much as newspapers are relevant these days, but or podcasts that can call someone out for saying, hey, you stopped this bill from moving, and I see in your PAC that you just got, you know, $1,000 donation from Express Scripts or from whomever.
Oh yeah, shout out Redbeard. He does that on Twitter all the time. Like, yeah, he'll just be like, oh, where'd this donation come from? Yeah.
And it needs to be even broader though, so that's great. It needs to be in more so that people are calling that politician's office, you know, actually calling, you know, old-fashioned calling and saying, hey, I voted for you. What, I can't go to my pharmacy anymore because you voted this way, because you took some money?
Yeah.
Help me explain that. Or bumping into them in the grocery store, or, you know, on a more local level.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, Congressman, great to see you. I heard you took some money here. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, yeah, you can even get the the paid protest groups to go out and really do some stuff. Make it uncomfortable to go to work.
That's a whole nother.
I know.
That's a whole nother. Yeah.
We don't want you all doing that, Doug. But I might.
I mean, it's gotten so one-sided that, they're not listening. I mean, Express Scripts doesn't care. They don't care, and with all deference to the angry pharmacist, they don't care not about you, angry pharmacist. They don't care about angry pharmacists. They may care about consumers, and I think they especially care about their customers.
Yeah, they do. But like right now, like they'll be upset that patients and we're up here like making their day worse, but they'll go home and they'll cry and go to sleep on a bed of money, and they'll be all right with it. We've got to keep this up, and we got to keep the pressure on.
You've got to. We have to get their customers. By their customers, again, the J&Js, the Texas A&Ms, the Ohio States who hire them, our federal frickin' government. We've got to get them to say what's going on, Express Scripts.
Yes,
it's those calls, those communications behind the scenes. That's what'll make them. That's what'll get their attention.
Yeah, and we would have expected just a few years ago that we would have actually had like patient groups and pharmacists out here like doing this. Like a lot has come together the last few years, like a lot of attention, and some of it's out of desperation, but a lot of it also is like years of work that's everyone put into like educating these lawmakers and laying the groundwork for this stuff. Like this stuff doesn't just like come together. Like it's taken a lot of work.
That's right.
Yeah.
It takes a long time.
Yes, it does.
And there is a long, a lot of chipping away. And, I think some other things coming out. We've got someday that FTC report's going to come out.
Yes.
DOJ's now got a task force, so they're doing some stuff. FTC has another. They're not just a one-trick pony. They've got some things going on besides the study. Comer's report. Representative Comer has a report on PBMs that's supposed to be coming out. So this summer there should be the body of evidence against PBMs should be growing even more. Will any one of those be like the silver bullet? Probably not, but just to your point about chipping away, it's going to chip away and add to the body of evidence of why we need something different. We need people to fire their PBM.
Yes.
That's what we need. That's the t-shirt we need is fire your PBM, hire, back to what you were saying as far as a transparent, or a self-insured, you work it out with a group of pharmacies, but fire your PBM.
Just do it yourself. Yeah. You don't even have to contract. Just let the pharmacies ping your damn server. It's all taken care of. You hire a third-party PBM. They negotiate your rebates from the brands. They set your formulary. You run that server. Let the pharmacies ping it. You got it made. You're making a fortune, or you're saving a fortune, really. You're good to go, and you don't have to deal with any of this crap because we may just start coming to employers' places and protesting there too. So that may start happening.
That's would get their attention.
That would get their attention
because then they'll say, Who is this group out here? What are they mad about?
Exactly.
I mean, it's going to be, just puzzled looks on their faces and being able to inform and educate them on, here's why we're mad.
Exactly. Yeah, it's getting attention. Attention is one of the biggest things we can do, and this is how you do it.
Yeah.
They're going to go home, and they're not going to be too pleased.
We need members of the media here. So I see someone from CBS over here, local channel. That's great. And the more we can get, we need that on a national level. Yes, we need more and more reporting on it, but this is a start.
Yeah, it's a start, and that's one reason, we started doing this podcast was to, bring a more humorous tone and, an excuse for me to drink on a weekday, that sort of thing. Yeah. And then it's kind of taken off because of that, and because, we speak the truth, and we just go out there and, we get some of the biggest names on, and it's been a blast. Shane, some of my favorite episodes has had Shane come on, talk about the Pharmacy Guild, and
that's the most important thing is having the media there. You're absolutely right. So leaning into things like PBM on the Rocks, leading into all pharmacy has a lot of online social media advocates and personalities that we can push out this message to. Because if the key is to be activating patients, activating consumers, it's also about activating all pharmacists. I think there's a lack of engagement for most pharmacists. It's not just affecting independent pharmacies. Yes, independent pharmacists might feel it directly, but every pharmacist and every technician in America is affected by these PBMs. Even at companies like CVS where they're vertically integrated, they don't understand that they're affecting the entire community pharmacy setting. And if we could just activate those consumers and those pharmacists and keep pushing out that information, we should have 30 members of the media there. We should have CNN and Fox and whatever side of the political spectrum they're on, there should be media coverage there, because this is a bipartisan issue, just like you said. And I think that we should lean into that and find all the places on social media, find all the podcasts everywhere, just keep, banging that drum and sending that message out there. Any way you feel like doing it, you could do this. Drink and talk about it. Put up memes about it. Make T-shirts just like he recommended. Find RX Comedy and check out that shirt. It says PBM, pharmacy's biggest mistake. We got a lot of mistakes, but PBM's one of the biggest for sure.
Sure, for sure.
And I think activating the chain pharmacists and really bringing to light like the conditions they're working in, because it's been slow, like as far as like the decline. Like a lot of people just put up with more and more over the years, and it's got to the point where a lot of them don't even realize, like, I am in a sweatshop. We need to activate them. Is it speech time?
We've had trainings for all the pharmacy guild places that we're trying to organize right now. Oh shit, what's going? You got air cover? Do we have to take cover?
Give us a good speech.
I'll do my best.
Thank you. Good luck.
Hey, good to talk to you guys.
Take care.
Stop ripping me on this show, okay?
I can't help it, Doug. Someone's going to do it.
You hurt my feelings. I do have feelings.
Hey, it's good feedback. It got you out here doing this stuff.
No, it had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, it did.
No, it did. No, it had nothing to do with it. No, I wanted to come out here because I was like, man, do something different. I'm willing to try something different. No, that had nothing to do with it. I 100% promise you. In fact, if anything, it would have pushed me away to do it.
Yeah, it's helping your messaging.
I applaud you, sir. Thank you for being there.
You've gotten more aggressive lately. I like it.
Nah. All right. See you guys.
All right. I'll see you
Thanks,
next.
sir.
Thanks for coming on.
Yep.
All right. Doug's going to give us a speech.
You really want
Yeah, come on in.
How are you, Jeremy?
I'm good.
Okay.
Come in, do introduction.
All right, what are we doing here?
Shane?
What's that?
Have you met Shane before? Yeah, go ahead and put your
I think I have. Well, I don't know that I've met Shane in person, but I know exactly who Shane is.
Yeah.
How are you?
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. They're like, who's this
No,
fucking guy?
really,
No, I'm just kidding.
Who is? No, it's a really good thing. My name's Mark Bozen. I'm a pharmacist, second-generation pharmacist turned attorney, because I couldn't take it anymore as a pharmacist, and thought I'd get a law degree and maybe try to help a little bit more.
Mark does awesome work.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I think pharmacy is the only profession where you hear, you know what, it was too stressful, I couldn't take it anymore, I think I'd get a less stressful job, and that less stressful job is an attorney. Or maybe you feel like you can affect more change being an attorney, which is probably the case. But that's awesome. Nice to meet you, sir.
No, it's absolutely both. I tell my lawyers all the time, I said, my first profession, if I had a bad day and wasn't paying attention and made a mistake, I could kill somebody. At least as a lawyer, people just go to jail and don't necessarily die. The mistakes we make are, we've got insurance for those. But I think that's one of the profound things we need to talk about, and what you're talking about today is, if we don't have the tools to do our job because these guys, the PBMs, don't give them to us, don't let patients get the drugs they need, don't let us dispense the drugs they need, people are going to die. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. Like, if we're not there, they don't have health care, especially in a lot of these communities. Like, people talk about, like, oh, rural communities. No, there's communities, like, in the cities that are pharmacy deserts because people can't get access to a pharmacy.
I live in the sixth largest metropolitan area in the United States, in the Phoenix area. And there are times, particularly on weekends or late at night, when I just can't find the ability to get medications. The other day, my wife and I were at the hospital, and I needed to get her discharged before 7 p.m. so that I could make it home by 8 p.m. to get the medication she needed. And that's Phoenix. You're right. It's not just rural areas.
Well, this is what happens. Is that, we got a speech going on?
Hold on. I think we got a speech, so I think we're going to take a break. Is that what we do
Okay,
now?
sounds good. I want to listen to it
okay.
for sure.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Complex maze that they've created. I've had patients have sent me pictures of their loved ones cast from their greed. I've had pharmacists I've seen in tears from their pharmacies closing So we stand here today for all of them. For every patient who's been hospitalized because they couldn't get the medication that their doctor knew was best, or because yesterday I spoke to someone who told me this story about someone who had died because their medication arrived 5 hours late from their next dose. So, again, I just thank every person standing here today who's helped teach me and educate me about these pharmacy benefit managers and what they've done. These pharmacists here today are not just your everyday pharmacists. They're true heroes. They're true leaders. And I don't know where I would be, where patients would be, where the hope for patients like my son would be without you all. So, and to the many physicians, the advocacy groups, there's no way that one mom would be able to do this, would be able to get us all together. This is all of us. This is every person here, you know, that's really made this happen. And this is just the first one. We're not stopping here. Optum RX, CVS, Caremark, you are next. We've had enough of your greed. Yes, lots of road trips ahead until we get justice and we get the protection that we deserve. So we know that the Federal Trade Commission is looking at this company behind me. We need protection now. We need our local other pharmacy close. We need protection against the delays and the improper temperature storage, which led me here today. My son, you all know, is a transplant survivor. His life will forever rely on medications every 12 hours, and I'm extremely terrified today to leave the state of pharmacy in their hands. Yes. So we also know our legislators, they are talking about PBMs a lot. They're doing a great job talking, but we want regulation and we want protection. We don't want any more talking. So I hope today, by bringing us all together, that this will be the start of so much more, and eventually we will get that legislation and protection. I'll be able to rest asleep at night knowing that my son is in a better future of pharmaceutical care, that America's patients, that the public health of America in the future will be in a better state. So thank you all. And with that, I'm going to pass on to Deborah, keeping with Pharmacists United, Truth and Transparency. Thank you, Loretta.
Being awesome.
Good morning. I'm Deborah Kevaney. I'm a second-generation pharmacist, married to a third-generation pharmacist and a pharmacy owner in Winstead, Minnesota. I'm also the president of Pharmacists United for Truth and Transparency, and we're proud to be partnering with Loretta to be here today. We're excited to see so many of you here to protest the terrible practices and policies of Express Scripts. Sorry, spring allergies. Anybody know a good pharmacist? This model puts profits over patients and sees small business pharmacies not as partners in providing quality health care, but targets to exploit and bleed for their revenue. Express Scripts and the fellow Big Three PBMs makes millions of dollars every day on the backs of patients, their employers, the federal government, state government, consumers, and taxpayers. Express Scripts practices are a clear and present danger to public health care, and today we are calling for them to stop. They need to stop interfering with our ability to provide patient care and stop pretending that they're doing it in the name of cost savings. Stop designing benefit plans that mandate the use of Express Script pharmacies. Stop patient steering. Stop intentionally limiting patient care. Stop acting malicious with disrespect towards pharmacies. Just 6 months ago, Express Scripts proclaimed that they wanted to partner with independent pharmacies to work more closely with them. Instead, they've acted in arrogance and contempt towards pharmacies, offering contracts with impossible terms and all but daring pharmacies to refuse to contract with them so that they can, again, easily steer patients to their own pharmacy. Stop the obvious anti-competitive behavior that suppresses the free market, the unconscionable contracts that are non-negotiable, the predatory audits, the kickbacks. We know what they do, and we are demanding that they stop acting in bad faith. You'll hear a number of stories today. Let me tell you mine. My pharmacy is a small town of 2,400 people. The next nearest pharmacy is 20 miles away. Winstead's made up primarily of blue-collar industry, farmers, and a lot of retiree farmers. There are 5 communities in the surrounding area that do not have pharmacies that rely on my store to take care of their prescription needs. I also come from a military family. My dad is retired Navy. My daughter is currently serving in the war zone over in the Middle East. Because of the terrible contract terms with Express Scripts offered in the TRICARE contract, I can't even fill prescriptions for my own family. Express Scripts has robbed me the ability to provide care for my family, and I don't appreciate that one damn bit. As I said earlier, I'm a second-generation pharmacist. My husband's a third. We own the store, but sadly there will be no next generation of pharmacies in the Kevaney household.
More pharmacists.
Both of my children chose a different path because of the unsustainable unsustainable business model that the folks behind me have created for us. This is why I'm here. I'm here to make sure that Express Scripts knows that if they're going to try to exert pressure on me, my patients, and my community to conform to their grubby, greedy ways, I'm going to push back. Woo! And so is every other PUT member and every other member of the Minnesota Independent Pharmacists or MDs in the state of Minnesota. My hope today is that by gathering here, we show Express Scripts that we are not afraid of them, that we are stronger together and united this morning, and we will win. Yes. Yes. Thank you all for being here, and it's now time that we get loud.
I would like to introduce our next speaker, which will be Lucas Kuntz. Lucas is here from Missouri. He has prior held positions at American Economic Liberties Project. He's also a military veteran. Thank you so much for your service. And he's also candidate for senator here in Missouri.
Thanks, Loretta. I just, I did work for the American Economic Liberties Project, who's co-sponsoring this event. I'm in the Marine Corps Reserve. I use the VA, but my family uses TRICARE, and I am running for U.S. Senate. And so I just wanted to say that today I'm here to share my story, and that my views are my own today, and it's just me meeting with you to tell my story. And so before I get started with that, as a veteran, I get thanked for my service all the time, and I just want to take a moment to thank all the independent pharmacists here for the service that you provide to us. And I sincerely mean that. Like, a lot of you for a long time served us on TRICARE, even though you lost money on all the prescriptions, and some of you still continue to do that, and it's not right. And just thank you for taking care of us. And so I want to tell my story because it's the story of a service member and how companies like this come between us and the people like you who are trying to take care of us. And so it's not easy being a military service member. I deployed to Iraq once, Afghanistan twice. I lived in California, North Carolina, Quantico, Virginia, New York City, all over the country. Every time we move, we have to figure out who our healthcare provider is. We have to go through a bunch of steps. We have to figure out where the pharmacy is going to be. A lot of us need medication quickly when we get there, and it's a real challenge. And in 2022, Express Scripts booted 15,000 independent pharmacies from the TRICARE network with predatory terms. And that just means that for military families, we had to do it one more time. And we lost your service. You know what they told us? They told us that we can use their mail-in prescription service. No! That is their entire game plan, right? It's to force people onto their mail-in service. When we went onto their website, the first thing we get every single time is persuasion and trying to push us onto their mail-in service, which none of us want. Again, they're coming between us and they're coming between the provider. And then they told us, well, if you don't want to use that service, then you can use the grocery store pharmacist. But you know what? The grocery stores couldn't handle the predatory terms either, and they also left, and so we lost 1/3 of our pharmacies in just a few months. And so for us, like, I'm so happy to be here with you all because we need to fundamentally change who has power in this country. We need to give it back to everyday people. We need to take it away from these folks who are using their corporate PACs to fund campaigns, take away our ability to take care of one another and serve one another. So I'm just here today to say thank you. Like, as military members, again, my family still uses TRICARE. We want you. We love your service. We love the way you take care of us. Please continue this fight so that we can continue to partner together in taking care of all of each other. Loretta, you're back up. That's all I got to say.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. All right, so our next speaker will be Douglas from the National Community Pharmacy Association. We really appreciate all that NCPA does to protect patients as well as to ensure the survival of our local pharmacies.
Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for coming out today. And on behalf of the more than 19,000 independent pharmacies that NCPA represents, I want to thank Loretta. Where'd she go? There she is. I want to thank her for organizing this protest and for inviting us to speak. Thank you, Loretta. You're an inspiration, and we're grateful for your advocacy over the years. And we do want you to be able to rest, though, at some point. I want to thank all the patient advocate groups who are here today. And ultimately, that's why the pharmacists are here today, is to be treated fairly so we can take care of patients. I'm wearing all black today. Some of you may already know why. Because I'm mourning. Over the last year, one independent pharmacy has died. Every day. And you know why they've died? They're dying because of PBMs. Greedy behavior of PBMs like Express Scripts. When a community or neighborhood loses its pharmacies, patients lose access to care. Employees lose paychecks. And it's a loss for small businesses that are the backbone of our great country. NCPA members sent more than 22,000 messages to Congress since January, and more than 6,000 messages from consumers have been sent. It's one of the reasons why there is bipartisan support for change in Congress, and one of the reasons the FTC and the White House continue to reach out to NCPA for its expertise. But the executives in that building at Express Scripts and the other members of the PBM cartel have been fighting us tooth and nail. They've done everything they can to resist disclosure, gum up investigations, subvert regulations, and ignore the law. Just in this session of Congress, the PBMs Trade Association has spent $20 million to protect their ability to raise drug prices, to cost consumers more in drug prices. It's only $20 million for them to raise drug prices on consumers billions of dollars. But they're losing and they know it. Inch by inch, state by state, district by district, they are losing support because thanks to people like Loretta, other patient groups, and the pharmacy groups that are here, people are finally starting to understand what the PBMs are doing. We need to see immediate change in the pharmacy payment model, starting with Express Scripts paying pharmacists reasonably so that pharmacies are paid more than what they pay for the drug plus the cost of doing business. That's not much to ask. Pay us more than what we pay for the drug. Jeez. We need Congress to finish its job and pass payment reform legislation. And we need the clients of PBMs to be aware that when they hire companies like Express Scripts, they are killing small businesses and hurting socially vulnerable people by expanding pharmacy deserts. Yes. I've been asked by a few people, why are you going to today's protest? I'm here because the business practices of all three of the largest PBMs are harmful to patients and pharmacies. However, our membership, the complaints about Express Scripts this year are far outweighing the peers. I'm here because in 2024, ESI pays independent pharmacies less than their cost to buy the drug and pay for overhead on 80% of the prescriptions they dispense. 80% of the time, Express Scripts is paying pharmacies less than their cost to buy the drug and overhead in Medicare, a taxpayer-funded program. Last month, we wrote a letter to Cigna's CEO and Express Scripts president describing their industry-leading corporate bullying. We told them that independent pharmacy owners identified Cigna ESI as being the most problematic of all PBMs in Medicare. Yes. Even worse than CVS Aetna. Wow. That's a talk about Hall of Shame. In other words, ESI is the worst of the worst. I'm here because the PBMs and particularly ESI are causing an average of 1 independent pharmacy a day to close. I'm here because about a year ago, Express Scripts made an announcement about how they want to work with independent pharmacies. What a joke. They even started an independent pharmacy advisory council. Joke. Well, I've always heard that actions speak louder than words. Yes. Since they made that announcement, another 500 independent pharmacies have died because of PBMs. ESI's blatant disregard for independent pharmacies and patients has only gotten worse. Just another ESI lie. I'm here for the blind, elderly widow of a military veteran. The independent pharmacy she went to for years personally delivered her prescriptions to her and put her medications in special packaging, remember she's blind, so that she was confident in taking her medications, the right medications at the right time. She's now terrified because her pharmacy was forced to make the awful choice of either accepting ESI's TRICARE contract, which pays pharmacies less than what it costs them to buy the drug, or to stay in business. The pharmacy had to make the choice to stay in business. I'm here because companies I'm about to name have hired Express Scripts, and people need to know that these companies, knowingly or not, are killing off small businesses, even some of their own customers and alumnus. Disney, shame. Morgan Stanley, shame. Farmers Insurance, shame. Johnson & Johnson, shame. Texas A&M, shame. Ohio State University, shame. The South Carolina State Health Plan, shame. The New York City Employee Plan, shame. That's just a sample. These companies are killing small businesses, again, knowingly or not. They need to be held accountable for why they do not fire their PBM, hire a transparent PBM, help small businesses, help patients, help consumers, and help their employees. Thank you again for being here. We're all proud to stand with you in this fight. The PBM cartel needs to know that we're fed up, we're pumped up, but we're not giving up. Thank you.
Yeah! PBM has got to go!
Hey, hey, ho, ho! PBM has got to go! Hey, hey, ho, ho! PBM has got to go!
Hey, hey, ho, ho!
PBM has got to go!
That's great. Our next speaker will be Elisa from the American Pharmacists Association. We appreciate her so much for coming such a long ways, all of our speakers.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for inviting us here. Really appreciate it, and I just closed my file. But can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. Yes? Yeah. Well, just going with the theme that everybody talked about their service or the military service, my daughter is in the Navy right now, so this will impact her too as well. On behalf of the American Pharmacists Association, we represent pharmacists in all practice settings. We get calls from independent community pharmacists every day talking about, crying about the abysmal practices, contracting, underwater payments, and all of the different antics that are happening today. This has to stop. It's leading to closures, as Doug just said. One pharmacy is closing a day. That's sad. I've been a pharmacist for over 35 years. I've seen the profession change from all that we've provided with testing and how we're doing now, providing testing and treating in pharmacies, managing hypertension and diabetes, and being the one-stop shop for immunizations. The pharmacist is often, as we all know, the only healthcare provider in rural and underserved communities, and no longer are they, as we've heard today. Unfortunately, we hear day after day, actually, we just heard from you, multiple generations of pharmacies no longer. Pharmacists who are just out of school and it's their dream to open a pharmacy, open it, only to struggle with the challenges to desperately keep their doors open. The economic challenges often win out. The doors close. Another door is closed, and another door is closed. It's the same pattern. Pharmacists are devoted to patient care. APHA is devoted to patient care. Sorry, I just lost myself here. Unfortunately, the big David and Goliath antics and the heavy-handed contracting practices are taking away from patients their ability to provide care and access. APHA amplifies the voice of the profession, and we want to amplify your voices with policymakers. The APHA advocacy team is working tirelessly along with our pharmacy partners such as NCPA, who as Jug just talked about, to change the narrative and drive the change that's needed to keep pharmacies open and accessible. Change is needed. We need a shot of prevention to stop the harms that are closing pharmacies and put patients at risk. We fully agree and are working together with Doug and NCPA on all the changes that he just talked about. When we speak with legislators, regulators, and policymakers at all levels of government, it's the pharmacies and the patients' experiences those stories are what tug at the heart of policymakers, that we need to hear from you. So a key reason that APHA is here in St. Louis today is to hear the stories, hear how these middlemen like ESI are hindering your ability to provide care or access care. I hope to be able to speak with many of you and capture your stories, and I want to hear more and bring them back to Washington, D.C. to amplify your voice and drive that change. I want to thank Loretta for her incredible work pulling this together, and Doug from being here from NCPA as well, and each and every one of you who came and took the time from near and far to share your voice here today. We're going to drive meaningful change. We need to let pharmacists and pharmacies take back the profession, and that's what we need to, and that's what we have to do. Yeah! So, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is great again. We have such wonderful speakers and so many passionate people about these issues. Before I hand off to the next speaker, I do just want to say one thing. I graduated over here from this building, and it's part of the reason why I've been so emotional this morning is because never in my life did I ever think I would be here. I didn't even know this was here when I had graduated. So it's an awing experience. It's just, I can't believe I'm here sometimes. I just also want to say thank you so much again. I could not have done this on my own. There is a specific group of pharmacists, as I was trying to understand PBMs more, that really reached out to me, that every question that I had, they would answer. And when I asked for support, because I realized this is getting much larger than what I anticipated, they've really been here. I just want to give a special thank you to Pharmacists United for Truth and Transparency and all that you've done for me. And there are pharmacists. Next we're just going to go to open mic. So we're going to go ahead and open up to our first speaker, which is Himanshu. Thank you so much, Himanshu, for your time.
Thank you, Loretta.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Himanshu Patel. I'm a pharmacist from Tennessee, and I own a small local pharmacy in Tennessee. Thank you all for coming in today. Today I stand before you to highlight a grave threat to our local pharmacies and patient care. Over the last 4 years, powerful PBMs, the pharmacy benefit managers, have forced 2,200 community pharmacies to close their doors, costing thousands of jobs, leaving countless patients without local access to medications that they need. According to the survey done by NCPA, about 32% of local pharmacies in the whole country are considering to close their doors this year. So if they actually do disappear, that's about 6,000 pharmacies this year would close their doors by end of this year. If that happens, about 60 million rural Americans would not have a pharmacy nearby to fill their medications such as antibiotics or emergency meds when they are needed the most. So we as a pharmacist won't be able to help them when they need us the most. This would lead to an excessive hospitalization and skyrocketing healthcare cost. The situation is so dire. While inflation has soared up, PBM have slashed pharmacy reimbursement year after year. This isn't just about the business. It's about your health and your well-being. PBMs have created opaque, rigged healthcare system that prioritizes their profit over patient care. They use non-transparent contracts and favoritism towards their own pharmacies to dominate the market, while suffocating independent pharmacies to brink of extinction. Make no mistake, PBMs and their rebate games with Big Pharma are the #1 reason why drug prices are so high today in America. Making it harder for everyday American to afford their medications. Okay, so even the federal government has not been spared by these thugs right here. According to the recent news, Express Scripts stole over $44.9 million from the United States Postal Service, and they have refused to return it when they got caught stealing. So think about them. Think about how powerful they are. So we need to think whether we can fight or not. Okay, while we admire FTC's accelerated investigation into anti-competitive practices of vertically integrated PBMs and DOJ's formation of task force on healthcare monopolies and collusion, these two agencies must investigate why PBMs needs to create more PBMs in tax haven countries like Europe to negotiate with American manufacturers on behalf of American people. A prime example of this is Express Scripts GPO called Ascent Health that was formed in Switzerland in 2019, and Optum Rx's GPO Emissar that was formed in Ireland in 2021. The DOJ must investigate the actual rebates that are actually being paid by all the manufacturers and reconcile them against what has been reported by the PBM for the state Medicaid, Medicare, and TRICARE plans to see if there are any discrepancies of rebates. Let's fight for the Senate bill called No PBM that stands for Neighborhood Options for Patient Buying Medications. This bill would allow CMS to define reasonable and relevant contract terms and create a PBM task force that oversee contract violations. So this basically what that means is this bill would allow independent pharmacies to continue serving local communities. So let's urge Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and your local state and federal representatives to bring this bill to the Senate floor for a vote. It's time to stand up to oppressive PBMs and protect our local pharmacies, our communities, and our health. Together, we can make a difference. Let's save our community pharmacy and ensure that every American has an access to affordable care that they need. Thank you.
All right.
All right, cool. Yo. So
are we back?
Start to give their speeches as open mic time.
I want to do open mic. We can tell jokes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not allowed near open mics anymore.
Oh.
Not since the last incident. Shane, can you hear us all right? I've been getting some feedback that our mics are low. Okay.
I
My
can
wife
hear you
texts me.
pretty
She's like, your mic's low. Yeah. Emily, I love you. I'm sorry I didn't respond quick enough.
Oh, I know you're talking to your wife, not me. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah, nice. Oh, yeah, everyone's starting to go up and give their speeches, and we're still around chilling. Yeah, we'll be going back and forth.
There are a lot of good speeches, though, for sure.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, just giving everyone an update. We are still here. We'll be back with you. Maurice just showed up here with his sign.
All right.
Yeah. We'll bring you on here in a
Mark
minute.
Boson. Nice job.
Forced into signing crappy take it or leave it contracts. Express Scripts and other PBMs that prohibit us pharmacists and pharmacy owners from publicly protesting these ridiculous practices. In these same contracts are gag clauses. These gag clauses prevent us pharmacists from providing even lower cost of drugs to our patients. These contracts disallow pharmacists to explain how PBMs reimburse pharmacies far below cost on their medications. These contractual restrictions are imposed on pharmacies by the PBMs to maintain power over us. PBMs never disclose their millions and millions of dollars they receive in rebates from these manufacturers. Those rebates ultimately results in higher drug prices across America. The major PBMs are equivalent to what Doug said, cartels. They are the cartels. There are real life cartels, drug cartels. They have essentially hijacked our pharmacies and dictate the terms and conditions on how and what we do in our drugstores. Many elected officials in state and federal governments are mostly clueless of these PBMs. They have no idea the negative impact that the PBMs have on the American healthcare systems. The PBMs, they're hiding in plain sight right here. They are unable to, they have no impunity, they face no repercussion, and millions of dollars are stolen and so many people are hurt. Like Loretta spoke about her son, as well as some other, several other pharmacists spoke about how patients have died because of negligence by these PBMs. The small mom and pop independent drugstores do not have the financial resources, nor the time or the political connections to fight and defeat these middlemen. Our only recourse is to appeal to the local, state, and federal government to wake up. The negative impact by the PBMs are facing us to close. And the policies that these people are putting together, that these legislators, the bureau, are so watered down, and they provide no protection. We have been let down by all the bureaucratic institutions such as the FTC, the SEC, DOJ, the AG's office, and many, many more. These bureaucratic agencies are enablers. They're allowing the rampant vertical integration of the healthcare system. The PBMs apparently collude and set prices to augment their profits before patients. The disappointment and anger felt towards Express Scripts by the independent pharmacy community is understandable and justifiable. PBMs have created havoc in the pharmacy industry. Originally, PBMs were established to function as simple claim processors, but PBMs have morphed into major parasites. Unlike pharmacists, PBMs are not healthcare providers. No. They are simply middlemen, whose revenues may reach close to $1 trillion. This is the first ever protest at the PBM headquarters. This will not be the last. We will come today in hundreds, but tomorrow we will come in thousands. We will not stop until we have been satisfied. Although this is just the beginning, it's time we pharmacists fight together, and with your support, we can continue to provide quality health care to our communities for years to come. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Marty. Wow, that was amazing. I need some of that energy. I need his energy, and I also want to need some of the energy from AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Can we please give them a round of applause? I don't know. I don't have that loud of a voice, so I need this, but I want to get there, and I hope that I can be as loud and as vocal in all the work that they've done to protect patients like my son and to ensure that we save local pharmacy access. I see Mike Colombo is here from Fox 2 News. Mike, I never thought I would be here today. I know Mike Colombo was the first to share a story, one of the reasons why I was able to get my son's medication safely for a little while. He asked me once, he said, Loretta, who's your PBM? And I was like, PBM? I was an insurance agent. I didn't really know what a PBM was. We just don't really go into that great of detail. So I know what they are now, and we're going to get justice and protection, and we're going to save our local pharmacies. So I would like to see if there are any additional speakers that would like to come forward. Okay, we have Dan. Dan is a wonderful pharmacist from Wisconsin. Thank you. One more thing. Someone lost their glasses here. Okay. Sorry about that. Here you go.
Actually, I'm not a pharmacist. Please don't hold that against me. I am a cheesehead from Wisconsin, and are part of the local pharmacist 21 years ago. And we had a simple motive that we're pharmacists to take care of patients, I'll take care of you. Folks like their style, and we end up with a number of pharmacies across Wisconsin. And if you remember, this better? Yes. Okay. So if you'll remember, there was the big fight between Express Scripts and Walgreens here about 8-9 years ago. I remember that being a scary day, that unfortunately that showed that PBMs had more power than the pharmacy. So we started getting involved in legislative efforts, and we actually sought out experts, including the former chief of staff of the local governor. And he taught us to do it the right way, which was, now it didn't end up being the right way, so hold on here a little bit. Sorry. So we spent 3 years actually educating legislators. Right on cue. Keep going. So we spent 3 years educating legislators, and we actually had 105 co-sponsors of a bill out of 133 legislators. We felt pretty good about ourselves that we took the time to invest, but we couldn't get a hearing. So the expert said, you got to get patients involved. Do you think patients are willing to call the head of the health committees? Well, 2 hours later, they called us off and says we'll get a hearing because patients got activated. So that's one big memory. A second one is after our hearings, we didn't get a vote. So the political expert says, do you think you can get your patients activated to be able to create a vote? And I said, well, what do you need? And he says, well, can we get 1,000 signatures? And I said, I think we can get 10,000. He goes, that's never been done before. 3 weeks later, we had 11,000 signatures, and we actually went to the Capitol and had a press conference to actually get a vote. So just about ready for the vote, that's when PCMA and AHIP insurance finally came to the table, and 18 hours later, after going through everything in the bill, we lost 90% of it. Does that sound familiar with everybody here? You work your butt off, and it happens again and again. So quite frankly, I got pretty frustrated. what do we need to do to overcome this? So the same expert says it's right in front of you. It's helping your patients. That's what you're here for anyhow, right? Absolutely. So at that point in time, Patient Protector came alive. So we have a website called patientprotector.us, and it's meant to help every single one of us. At first it was for Wisconsin, but now it's national. So what is it? If you go to the website, first it actually explains the complexities of PBMs. Any of us who've talked to legislators, you realize how hard it is. Second, it'll give you a patient portal for them to tell their stories. 3, we're going to have a legislator scorecard that if a legislator is co-signing the bill, that we will actually have them in green if they're not be in red. And then finally, we're actually going to create an entertainment, a movie, to be able to help educate folks on this. So we actually have shirts here. We invite everybody to utilize the website. There is no cost, but what it's trying to do is, what's been right in front of us is, can we activate and organize our patients to help them, help us, help legislators finally see the light. So thank you for letting me share that. I wasn't expecting it, but thank you very much, Loretta, for putting on this great event.
Thank you so much. All right, do we have anyone else that would like to speak, to share a story, personal story? Okay, here we go. Now, what's your name?
George.
George. All right, here you go. This is George.
My name is George. I'm from the great state of Georgia, and proud retired pharmacist after 47 years of owning a community pharmacy. You guys here that have community pharmacies know that it is one of the greatest ways to spend your life serving others and being appreciated in your community. I wanted to share one quick story with you, and that is, in our state, we are very proud that any bill that goes to our state legislature is quickly accepted by the House and the Senate, because it is in support of community pharmacy, rural pharmacy, and the working man. But this year we discovered that our state health employees, and their plan is administered by CVS Caremark, that they were being, the pharmacies, the CVS Caremark, the CVS stores were being paid as much as 1,000% higher than an independent, which is wrong. We asked our state government to level that playing field, and they listened, and they did. They leveled it. They said, we'll pay you a fair amount, similar to what the chains are being paid. Unfortunately, it was passed unanimously in both the House and the Senate, but when it got to our governor's desk, he vetoed the bill. Now we think, well, why in the world would he do that? And it's very simple. The PBM uses the power of money that they have, and they also use the power of convincing the governor that if we pay independents a fair price, it is going to cost the state of Georgia almost $50 million, which is not a correct number. But we were shot out of the saddle so easily by the greedy PBMs that simply said it's going to cost too much money. Are we going to give up? Absolutely not. We're coming back next year, and we're going to win this fight. Thank you.
Yes. We are going to win the fight. We're going to fight every day of our lives until we do. Yes. And it's just going to get stronger. And I just have so much hope here today, seeing everybody. Thank you again. Do we have anyone else? Oh yeah, we do have Dr. Bach. If anyone doesn't know Dr. Bach, Dr. Bach,
Dr. Bach is my husband.
Is Julie's husband. So I apologize for that, but Arthritis SCL, is that right? All right, has been wonderful support in our advocacy as well, and I'm so thankful that they're here in St. Louis.
We love you! Thanks, Loretta. Loretta is like thebomb.com. Love her. So my name is Julie Bach. I am the practice manager and the bathroom monitor at the Arthritis Center in Bridgeton, Missouri. I have 24 support staff for one rheumatologist because of the burdens of Express Scripts and the other PBMs. I want Express Scripts to come to the table and meet with us. They harm our patients. They get in between us and they insert themselves in between the physician and the patient, and between the pharmacist and the patient. I'm just going to hold 1 second with the airplane. Over the last 24 months, Express Scripts has done everything possible to gaslight and ignore us. We're on Twitter calling them out all day long, and they continue to send tweet replies saying, let's take this issue offline. Email us at expressscripts.com. But they never email us back. So we are just advocating one patient at a time for access to care. And I am wanting our independent pharmacists to be a part of patient's choice. Nobody has a choice when you have Express Scripts, Optum Rx, or CVS Specialty in the picture. It's mandated patient care, and it's not patient care. It's prior authorizations, administrative burdens. So we're just here to stand shoulder to shoulder with our fellow people doing the work, our pharmacists, and we want access to care for our patients. I had my personal experience of going up to Jefferson City, which is our capital here in the state of Missouri. Because of these morons at Express Scripts, we will never get legislation because these legislators are bought and paid for by Express Scripts and the other 3 PBMs. I testified on the Insurance and Banking Committee in front of legislators, and I took a patient up there, and the next 10 people were lobbyists in 3-piece suits, and they just kill everything. So I don't think we can have government reform. I think that we have to take this fight directly to the people paying the bill, which are the self-funded employers. The self-funded employers and the physicians and the pharmacists have aligned goals of doing right by the patient. Patients are not one size fits all. They're not even one size fits most. The self-funded employers are the payers. They will make the change. So that's what I'm doing.
Thank you, Julie, so much. We appreciate you. Next, we have Nilsa. Nilsa's from Wisconsin. Nilsa. From Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee Dermatology. Come on up. You're rheumatology.
Okay, sorry. You're all right. It's all right. Tell them about our feedback.
My name is Nilsa Cruz. Accent Spanish. I'm originally from Puerto Rico and a transplant in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am the practice administrator and a patient advocate at the Milwaukee Rheumatology Center, owned and operated by my husband, Dr. Daniel H. Rossler. I've been doing patient advocacy for over 25 plus years with the American College of Rheumatology and the Coalition of State Rheumatology Organizations. Something big is happening in Wisconsin. In addition to Patient Protector through Dan, and I just want to say, I want to add to what Julie stated. There is a largest, I love Southwest. I love Southwest. Guys, I'm not sure you realize this. The second largest payer in the whole entire country are self-funded employers. Government is number 1. It does not seem that we are going to be able to move the needle far enough at the speed of light. Again, I've been doing this for over 25 years, and here we are today fighting the same issues on patient access and independent pharmacy survivals as many years back. We have to team up with those ultimate payers, and those are the self-funded employers. NCCPA, the guy in the black suit, mentioned quite a few. I'm not sure you're aware of this or not, but J&J, Johnson & Johnson, is there. They have been sued by one of their employees because of lack of fiduciary duty. Unfortunately, other companies are also paying very close attention because they may hit them hard very, very soon. We need to be able to have transparent transactions. We need to be able to team up as providers of services with our independent pharmacies and not these big guys behind me. They started on the right foot and they went all the way to the left, along with the other two. Again, largest second employer in this country are self-funded plans. Those are the ones paying these bills. These guys are simply third-party administrators. We have to take this message to the self-funded employers, no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to give a quick update and then introduce whoever else would like to speak next. So it's getting warm. We're enjoying ourselves out here. Thank you again for participating and staying. When we finish with the open mic portion, we're going to do one more march. So we'll do just what we did before. We'll line up, we'll march, we'll cheer and rally, and then we'll march back. And then we may be at a natural point to then just enjoy coffee and whatever's left over, or to go on your way, whatever you would like. But I just definitely want to say thank you again. I'd like to ask, is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Yes, Jerry Callahan. Thank you, sir.
I'm usually very bashful, right? Hey, I'm owner of 5 medicine shop pharmacies here in the St. Louis area. Also the past president of MPA, Missouri Pharmacy Association. And I'm challenging every pharmacist here to reach out to their other pharmacists and get them involved politically, legislatively. If you don't know your legislators, shame on you. But we need to be voice. But more importantly, we need to get our patients involved. Get them to make phone calls to their state legislators, their federal legislators. You need to tell them what's going on. If we're losing money, you need to tell them. And the best advice I gave some of my fellow pharmacists is if the offer being given to you by the PBMs is terrible, then don't accept it. You gotta quit. You gotta say enough is enough. And there's still too many out there that are accepting these ridiculous contracts, and they need to quit. That's the only way we're going to win this battle, is by quit accepting these crazy contracts. Yeah, maybe there's some other ways to make money, but we still have to make sure we can survive as a pharmacy as well. That's all I say, is I'm just challenging everybody to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Who else would like to speak?
Chris.
I'm sorry,
Chris Garrett.
Hello, thank you all for coming today. My pharmacy, I can walk there. It's down the street. I drive by here every day. And what I want to tell Express Scripts today is not about money, it's about the patient. Please, please put the patient number one. And the second thing I want to tell Express Scripts today is we can make you better if you'll just give us the chance. Let us do the things that we do, and we can help the patient. And finally, it's all about the pharmacist, number 3, because we have to be paid for the knowledge that we have, the service that we do. I've done this 47 years. Pharmacists have given away more information, more help than any health professional that I know. So, yes, am I passionate about this? Yes. Please give us the chance to serve the patient, and let us make you better. We can. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. All right, who else would like to speak? This is your chance to tell Express Scripts exactly what you think. All right, well then I will say something. I'm not a pharmacist, but I kiss the ground that pharmacists and nurses walk on. When I found out what was happening, I, as a consumer, I, as a person who loves my community, I love my local small businesses, I was outraged. I couldn't sleep. I was so outraged. At that time, I was simply somebody who was helping Pharmacists United for Truth and Transparency help to get the word out about this mysterious thing called a pharmacy benefit manager. And let me tell you, in 2016, when you were trying to get the word pharmacy benefit manager out of your mouth, the reporter was already hanging up the phone. Today, that's not the case. We have media out here today, and they know about this, and our legislators know about this, and that is because of the efforts of all of you, and I say thank you and I applaud you. We need our patients and our pharmacies. Patient access begins with an open pharmacy. There is no separation between the two. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for leading the cause on this. We will now grab our signs. Everybody line up. I am looking for Parthiv, our cheerleader. And we are one more time going to tell Express Scripts what we want.
You guys ready? Is everybody ready? One more time. Thank you, everyone. Let's everyone gather your signs. We're going to make one more rally march. And then let me just remind you guys, be ready to get information from Monique and Loretta. We will be...
All right, that was Monique. You all can't see it as much on the stream just because of the way we had to set up the camera, but we have like well over 100 people here. It is awesome right now. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. This has been wildly successful so far. Yeah. Yeah, you having a good time?
I'm having a great time. I am. My favorite part, and
Yeah.
I feel guilty because I'm in the shade with Jeremy. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, we get to chill over here in the shade. And, you know, unfortunately I'm not all liquored up, and the camera fell again because everyone loves it on my camera over.
Oh, they're setting it up.
Back up. Yeah, I'm pointing it the wrong way.
And there we go.
Yeah, next time we're gonna set up closer. It's all right. But yeah, it has been a wild day. You heard a lot of speeches there. We've heard from quite a few people. We're going to continue talking about this stuff while everyone's marching and bringing more people on. But yeah, just a few years ago, did you think like we'd be actually at this point where like patients and physicians and everyone else is getting together with us out in front of Express Scripts headquarters?
No, I didn't think that. It was just a couple of years ago we were trying to explain to them what PBMs are. These are physicians, people who write prescriptions, specialty doctors, and now they're here with us, and that's a big deal, and that's going to drive some change because it's got to get better.
Yeah, everyone needs to get active. Like everyone that's out there, all you pharmacists, like reach out. Like I know you're going through a lot. Chain pharmacists, I know you're working in bad conditions. You know, independent pharmacists, I know you're struggling mentally, emotionally, everything else. Reach out. Like, reach out to me. I talk to people all the time who are having a hard time. We can be there for emotional support. We can try to help find you, ways to keep your business afloat in the meantime while we fight this. It's something that we all have to come together and work. And not just us pharmacists and chain pharmacists and physicians, but also we need to get our patients involved. We need to get everyone involved. Randy's bringing this stuff. All right, let me fix it.
Oh yeah, it's I think it's been. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you, Shane.
Listening to some of those speeches, you don't realize all the secondary repercussions that have been caused by Express Scripts and their practices. Listening to Mrs. Bach talk about how she has 24 support staff for one rheumatologist, it's just mind-blowing of all of the waste and all of the time spent in trying to get patients the medicines that they need. I mean, that is just an overwhelming amount of people and manpower just to get the drugs that we know they need into their hands because of all these extra steps and prior authorizations. And it really is a game of trying to limit access as much as possible. Giving patients insurance and then never allowing them to use it is kind of the role of these third parties, these PBMs.
Yeah, I mean, they get to sit on their mountain of gold like a dragon and, blow fire at anyone who tries to question the way they do business. Like, it's awful. And they will come down and they will ruin you, like financially, professionally, if they can, if you speak out too much against them. And it's only been lately where we've been able to, do as much as we have, because people have been scared for years to speak out against it, and it's got to the point where, out of desperation, more people are speaking up. You've had, people like those of us at PUD who have been, calling this stuff out. You have like me, who comes out and I do this and I do what I do, but there is a level of risk involved. There's a lot of risk involved, and we're sticking our necks out, and we have to continue to do it, and we understand that.
You have to at this point.
Yeah.
What that statistic, about 80% of prescriptions reimbursed by Express Scripts are less than the cost of the drug. That is simply, that's the crisis point. That's an unsustainable business model for every independent pharmacy that's weathered the storm to this point. Because they're absolutely correct that if this continues to persist and we don't have actions like this, if we don't have widespread legislation on the state and national level, we are going to have no independent pharmacies left, and that's going to be detrimental to the health of the American public across the country.
Oh yeah, and Margaret, you were around for, back in the day. Like, I grew up in a pharmacy. Everyone talks about, but the PBMs, they got to be there to keep the drug costs down. You don't understand. No, like back in the day, like in the 90s, the 2000s, pharmacies made good money and drugs were cheap as shit. That's what people don't get. Like, your brand name drugs were not that expensive. People would choose to pay out of pocket for brand name drugs just because they wanted the brand name. It was not prohibitively expensive. It's been driven up because if you want brand name drugs in this country, you have to go through them. You have to go through this racket. And they've made it that way, but they're getting
and being a pharmacist was a lucrative career choice, or a career choice that you could be a business owner and you could have a sustainable life on. I'm not surprised to hear that the buck stops with whoever the pharmacists that were speaking. Like, oh, I'm a second-generation pharmacist and I'm a third-generation pharmacist, but I sure as hell wouldn't want my kids to be one. And that's unfortunate, because I'm sure you have great memories of growing up in your pharmacy and all the families and all the patients that you've helped over the years in the community that you serve in. And you know what? I know you just had a baby pretty recently, and I'm very young, and I'm sure you're not making college plans yet. But the way things are right now, would you want them to be pharmacists? Would you want them to sustain to be in business, what you're doing right now?
Absolutely not. Look at it. Look at how we were treated. They asked us, because the chains couldn't do it, they asked us all to come out and start vaccinating the communities with this disease we didn't know anything about. We put our health on the line. We put our entire lives on the line out there to vaccinate the public and take care of everyone. And then what happens as soon as we do that? HHS turns around, and CMS, and they allowed the DIR fees to absolutely murder us. They didn't give a fuck about us. They asked us to respond and to come out and try to help this country and try to save people. And they didn't give a fuck about any of us once that was done. They let us get completely pillaged by these PBMs. And why? But they're not going to be the ones that are out there whenever the next pandemic comes around. They're not going to be the ones taking care of people. You're not going to be able to mail order a fucking vaccine.
It's true. Pharmacists,
what are people going to do about emergency meds?
We were tasked with vaccinating America. We stepped up to the plate. We did those things. But when you're right, we were thrown to the wayside when we did this. And I heard a couple of the pharmacists out there talk about, there are other ways to make money, but they should stay that way for pharmacists. There should be other ways to make money, but they should be just that, other ways to make money.
That's the thing. Chasing ways to make money, Shane, it's a lost cause right now, because they control the entire scheme. Whenever they pay us more for doing vaccines or doing clinical work, they cut reimbursement on the drug end. They're not going to pay us out net more. That's why we're cut every single year, and we're doing more and more work. They have us chasing. We are the little useful idiots of healthcare, and they keep pushing it on us because we're desperate for revenue, and we have to say no. We can't keep doing this, and they want to push us to try to take position market share, and we shouldn't be doing that either.
We shouldn't be desperate for revenue. Pharmacist's job is now and always will be the safe and accurate checking of prescriptions and dispensing those to the community, and we have to be fairly reimbursed for just that. And yes, let's go above and beyond. Let's expand the scope of practice. But remember to pay us for our actual real job on a regular basis.
Yeah, if they did that, I'd be glad to do more services. That's the thing. Like back in the day, you did everything to try to get more patients in the door because you give like free things away, free supplies, everything else because more patients was more money. Now that is not the case. It's the opposite. A lot of times you got to look at the actual like scripts and what they're paying you before you're like, okay, I can take you on, because you don't want to hemorrhage money on this patient you've never seen before. You've got other patients to take care of.
You do, and I think that's the point. Yes, it is our job to make sure that medications are dispensed accurately, but it's always been our job. It's been our job for 200 years to be the person in the community that you can call, you don't need an appointment for, and you can ask the silly questions that just keep people up at night. You're a pharmacist, you've got a young kid, but how many people call the pharmacy and say, hey, do I need to take my kid to the doctor? How much do we save the healthcare system just by being available?
A fortune. All the questions that we field, and just keeping people out of like, the emergency room.
We're already providing all of this robust free care that results in real dollar savings, and the things that we do sell, the things that are our core business. Oh, and I'd like you to lose some money on those too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we can't make money on even the emergency meds. Someone comes in and they need a Z-Pack. Oh, no. Fuck you. You're not going to make money on that Z-Pack. And what are we supposed to do? Like, that's supposed to be our thing. Like, they're like, oh, well, we can move to mail order and then the pharmacies can take care of all these emergent needs. How am I going to do that? You don't pay us anything for these emergent needs.
And you know what? I work at 3 different independent pharmacies. I pick up shifts because, and the reason why people say, well, why do you work at 3 different places? All these owner operators don't have enough money to really hire another pharmacist there at this point, but they still need a day. I mean, these are people working 7 days a week in their own store to sustain business. And every once in a while, when they have they're at their wit's end and they can't do it one more day, they'll call me up and say, Shane, can you please come work a day for me because I can't do this anymore? But working in all those stores, I see all the problems with mail order that have existed for a long time. There's not a week that goes by where I don't at least have one patient come in and say, hey, this was supposed to arrive and it didn't get here. Or my doctor changed my therapy, but they've already billed it somewhere else and I need to wait. Can I get this done here? So we are dispensing free information, offering free care, and not being even reimbursed for the cost of the drugs that we have, and then cleaning up the messes for the companies that created the messes to begin with. It's unbelievable what pharmacists have settled for in this country, and I'm hoping things like this
because we bring a bunch of intangibles. You can go ahead, Shane. I was just saying we bring a bunch of intangibles, and it's one of those things that these companies like Express Scripts and the insurers, they want to monetize every single step in the process. I don't want to have to do a ton of paperwork just to, give someone a little bit of advice. Back in the day, it was as simple as just paying us semi-decently, and we'd take care of everybody. Yeah. But now they just want to save so much, and they want their cut of every word that we say. That's what it's really coming to. They want us to have a ton of paperwork to do simple tasks that we do every single day. Like MTMs are a joke. MTMs are a joke. Most of that you do just glancing at a patient's profile every single day. But no, they want you to document it, and because they're going to get paid based on that, and they're going to pay us crap for it. And then what? The big carrot was the DIR fees, getting those back. No one got those fucking fees back. That was a joke.
No, it's just squeezing the balloon. There'll be another fee. There'll be another clawback. One of the interesting things you said, Shane, I helped manage a large chain of independent pharmacists. We had independent pharmacies. I worked for a buddy of mine who went to school, created the apothecary shop. So we had 10 stores throughout Arizona. And he asked me to operate them. And one of the things I was stunned by was the amount of shrinkage we had in our prescription department. And I get that, I've got to keep a tight hand on the controlled substances. I've got to keep a tight hand on things like Viagra and some of these high dollar things that are divertible. But I always wondered why I was short of the high blood pressure multi-source generics. And I asked my buddy who was responsible for the 140 Kroger stores in Arizona, I said, why do I have shrinkage on nonsense drugs? Things that aren't very expensive and aren't divertible. And he said, and I'll never forget this, he says, don't underestimate the generosity of a pharmacist. I have that too. Because you're getting that person who comes in and says, my mail order's on its way. I need 3 tablets of this to get through the weekend. And there isn't a pharmacist in the world that's going to turn that down. And you're just getting free stuff out there because you're a healthcare provider first. We all are healthcare providers first. We went to pharmacy school because we wanted to be a healthcare provider. And those are we call them intangibles. Those are tangible, measurable things. We're the safety net. We're the safety net for this entire healthcare system. I was at an event where the Canadian health minister was talking about their system, and he admitted that their system only works because 90% of their population was within 100 miles of our border. The United States is the Canadians' healthcare safety net. Pharmacy is the United States' safety net, particularly community independent pharmacists and the chain drugstore pharmacists that are just trying to get through their day and get people healthy, get them on their way, and go home and try to have some semblance of a life. And you asked, would I encourage my kids who are actually in college, would I encourage them to go to pharmacy? I would. But the only reason I would is because I know the tricks. I know the career paths they ought to take. I still know where those rewarding career opportunities are. But 99% of the kids in pharmacy school don't have someone who's got a parent who's a second generation pharmacist who also has a law degree that knows how to fight.
Yeah.
But I would love to change. I would love to change the way things exist right now. That we don't have to coach kids into this is the only way you can have a challenging career. I'd love for it to be I can practice in any community setting and feel like a pharmacist again. Feel like a genuine healthcare provider, have the time and resources and tools necessary to practice at the top of my license. Those are the things that are important to me. And believe me, I wasn't trying to say, I hope everyone's children out there who's currently a pharmacist, I hope you encourage them to be pharmacists. We need loud voices. We need people excited about doing this job. But we need to change the perception right now and really the reality of what's out there if you're going to be a community pharmacist working in an independent or working for a chain right now, because there's not a whole lot of genuine healthcare going on, especially in the community in retail settings right now. They don't have the time. They don't have the time and they're not given the resources to do that.
I don't disagree. Hey, can I tell the audience at home what's going on that they can't see?
Yeah.
This is my favorite part of what's going on today. So Express Scripts hired security, and part of it is hiring some off-duty police officers to deal with us. And what these police officers are doing right now as we're crossing back and forth is they're blocking traffic for us. To keep us safe. And I want to thank the Normandy Police Department, the St. Louis Police Department, and I think I saw Olivet out here earlier. Thank you for that.
And I'm thanking them by not making them give me a drunk in public. You're very welcome. But yeah, turnout has been great. Like it's been really, really awesome today. And it's one of those things where, when my daughter gets older, I want her to know, I want pharmacy to be in a good place, and I want her to know, whenever our back was against the wall, we came out and fought, and I was there. We were on the front lines, and we were doing this, and it was important. And we took it to these companies that were big and scary and, had a lot more power than us, and we didn't back down. We fucking took it to them. And I think that's where we are right now. A lot of people who typically wouldn't fight are now fighting. And then a lot of people who are loudmouth assholes like I am do that too.
Well, I hope it grows from here. I hope the next time what they talked about during those speeches is that this time it's 100 and it's a great turnout. If they do this again next year, I hope there's 1,000 people there, and I hope there's a bunch of loudmouth assholes that are there, and it gets the attention it deserves. That there's a whole press corps.
I'm telling you straight up, this will continue happening. This is going to be a regular thing at PBM offices.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm calling it right now. I'll host the Scottsdale March.
Right.
Scottsdale. It's interesting. So at my law firm, I hired one of the guys from CVS Caremark. He was their national lead auditor, and I like to tell the story all the time. We hated this guy, so I operated pharmacy chain in Phoenix called GenRx Pharmacy. Me and my business partner, she was my general counsel, and CVS Caremark was right down the street from us, and we developed a pharmacy program that was one step ahead of the PBMs. It was let's make sure we give people access to medications they can afford and things that we can make money on. And CVS shut us down, and the guy's signature, who was always on this letter that said you're doing this wrong, accusing us of all kinds of white collar crimes, was this guy Mark Ziegler. And I tried to meet him and say, you don't understand what we're doing. We're part of the good guys, but I could never meet him. Fast forward, he ends up moving on from that organization, and I did get a chance to meet him, and I asked him if he'd come work for us, if he was willing to be a good guy. And he's been with us for 5.5 years. And I asked him once, I said, how come we got picked on? And he said because you were in our backyard. They weren't gonna let someone beat us in their own backyard. And I said, that's just crazy. And so anyway, I know that we gotta get more people on. I appreciate the time.
Hey, I appreciate you and everything you do.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
This man
Very
is
nice to meet
a
you.
wealth of knowledge.
Nice to meet you guys. All right. Keep up the good fight.
Maurice. Oh, yeah.
What are we doing?
Let's get in.
All right.
Good picture.
All right.
Yeah. Maurice, come in, man. It's good to finally meet you in person.
Yes, good to meet you in person. Love the shoes. That's Shane. Is he live?
Yeah, he's live.
How's it going?
Yeah,
I don't think we've
it went
met
out for a
before. Your
second.
name? What's your name?
Is that? Can he hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you. You may want to scoot up a little bit with the mic. The mics have been in and out.
What's up, buddy?
How's it going, Maurice? It's nice to see you, man. You look like my picture in the background.
You're famous. Everybody said, "Where'd you get that jacket?" I said, "The accidental pharmacist." He bought it.
I knew I'd seen it before. Yo, so you were out marching with everyone. What's the mood?
It's a lot of excitement out here. It's actually a lot of people. Everybody is united. I love how many people. Some people are pharmacists, some people are not, but everybody understands that PBM reform is necessary and kind of how PBMs will go into the profession of pharmacy. So it's good to see that it's not just pharmacists. It's people outside of pharmacy that are starting to realize that PBM reform is something that's needed.
Now, would you have been behind my push to burn effigies of Express Scripts executives? Because I was really pushing for that. Monique told me no.
Well, considering I have to pick my kids up at 4:30, I can't go to jail. So, but otherwise, I would have been behind it.
Oh man, I'll go to jail today.
That would require some different permits. You'd have to have. I know you have law enforcement out there, but you probably have to have the fire department and all kinds of other stuff. So it might have got more media attention, but I don't think it's worth anybody going to jail for sure.
I stopped for gas in 2 other places, and 3 people came up to me, and one guy actually gave me a hug. He was like, "Trump 2024." So I was like, I think I need to make a make America read again hats, because people don't read. Or maybe it's just Missouri. I don't know.
Wow. Oh. No, I got into town last night, and it was just, I got in late, and I went to the hotel room, and I started trying to, like, double check some things with this. And,
Hey. Thank you for listening to us, and we appreciate that you are here on the ground and advocate for the ground zero patient transparency in healthcare.
Hey, I'm glad to. Thank you. But yeah, I got in, and I didn't even have time to like go to the liquor store, and I'd fully planned on to at least do my, a few JMOs before I came, and I didn't, and actually I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it's been,
You can't see behind the scenes, but his left leg keeps shaking, and I think it's he's having a little withdrawal. So he needs a shot. That's the cure for restless leg syndrome.
Oh yeah. No,
you're only used to doing 3-hour podcasts when you're drinking. That's the problem. It can't go that long. We're running long. I need a drink.
Exactly. Like, it's fine. I don't have any Klonopin with me. That'd take care of this right away. But no, just gotta let it shake.
I wish I was
we
there. I
got-
could be your DD. I could be your DD in the Barbie car. I could have drove you guys around. That would have really confused people at the gas station, Maurice, if they would have got out and gave you the hug for the Trump hat, and you're like, "Excuse me, I got to go back to my Barbie car now."
The Barbie car? What's a Barbie car?
He's got a pink Pepto-Bismol looking car.
No way. Shit. What? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, we could have cruised around in that. That would have been awesome.
Somebody told me if you buy a brand new car. Go ahead, Shane.
No, I was just going to say I have 4 girls.
No, you go, and I'll go after.
There's a delay. I keep forgetting there's a delay, so I'm going to count to 3 when I do it. But what I wanted to explain to Jeremy, since he was like, "What are you talking about?" I have 4 daughters. I have 5 kids total, but I have 4 daughters. So we were driving by the Kia dealership, and they had a souped-up Kia that was wrapped pink with white rims, like a Barbie car. And they're like, "Daddy, why don't you get that?" And my wife was like, "He'll never get that." So I came home with it, and now I drive a Barbie car.
Oh man, that is commitment to the shtick, and I appreciate that as someone who commits to a shtick for, at this point, decades. Like, it's something that I really appreciate. But man, I knew you had kids. I didn't know you had that many kids. You got 5 kids.
Yep, my
I don't know how he gets anything done.
I don't know how he gets anything. I got 1 kid, and she takes up all my time.
I thought about enrolling my kids into.
No, I was going to say, having 5 kids is really weird. It's like signing up, like you and your wife decide that you're going to be poor forever and everything is going to be really, really loud.
Express Scripts decided I was going to be poor forever. I didn't even have to have more than 1 kid.
Seeing how busy Shane is with his 5 kids, let's just say I have a vasectomy scheduled in about 2 months. 2's enough.
Yeah, I worked, like, we tried to have a kid for like ever, and then Elsie came along, and she was like a little miracle baby. And you know, the joke is we actually did a commercial with Frank Beamer, and it kind of happened right after that. So the joke is we call Frank Beamer Fertility Frank. Thank you, Frank Beamer. Thank you.
I wish I had that problem every time I look at my wife, she gets pregnant.
What was that? What was that movie?
Opposite problem.
Not that was the movie, The Gremlins. You pour a little water on her. They start replicating.
Oh shit! Don't feed her after midnight; she'll get pregnant.
Oh, that's when they turn into a gremlin. Is feed them after midnight. With just little cute mogwais and kill them. Little demons.
No, I turn out. I'm constantly a gremlin, so you know that's the reason why I'm always after.
Also, Gremlins does not get enough love as a Christmas movie. No one talks about it as a Christmas movie, and it's a great Christmas movie. Die Hard's good, but it's a stretch to call it a Christmas movie. Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Full on about Christmas.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Not enough love there. But have you ever been to St. Louis, Shane?
Yeah, actually, I have been to St. Louis. I've been up in the little arch in the little egg thing. I was there. I don't like to fly.
You can go in that arch?
Yes, you can go in the arch and you can go up to the top. You have to get in these little things, like it's like an egg elevator to get up on the top, and it sways a little bit when you're on there.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm not doing that. No, I didn't know it was like that kind of attraction. I literally just thought it was like a big piece of like metal or something they just plopped down. It's like, we have an arch.
No, he's right. It's terrible. And Shane's 5'2", so it's probably not that bad. But when you're 6 feet tall, it's a little bit different experience.
I was laying down and I'm like,
for
oh, I got all the
pharmacy.
room. I can stretch out my legs and shit. It's awesome.
Are you all getting psyched for Pharmacy? Because I really want to go. I just can't swing it because all my vacation days are taken up now.
We are. We're super.
I can only pay a pharmacist so
lineup.
much to be there when I'm not. You said what?
I said, yeah, we are. We're super excited about it. The lineup's coming together, working on our material. A lot of exciting stuff. And it's going to be, hey, you know what? Next year, you'll have to come. We're going to do it on land. We're going to do Farm in the V. So we're going to be in Vegas next year. So hopefully you can make it out to that.
Oh, okay. V was for Vegas. Okay, we can win a few different ways there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't have to worry about going to the liquor store.
Farm in the V. Okay, we'll do that. Okay. No, Vegas would be fun. I've never got to go to Vegas. No, but I'm trying to come out to more events now that Elson's a little older. Like, it's important for us to come out and be seen because, you know, we're all out here and we're fighting, and, you know, we're notable enough to, you know, be on Twitter and be on social media, and people pay attention to what we're saying. It's important that we come to these things and participate in these events and be out there so that people know that we're just not like ranting, that they know that they're, you know, being present and really making the effort. It's just so important. And so that's something like, even the fun things like Pharmacists, things like that, like I want to be a part of those communities and do that kind of thing. And I think it's important for other pharmacists to do it. That's why I think it's important for like the pharmacy guy, for other pharmacists to like get in with the pharmacy guild, even if you're not a chain pharmacist, if you're an independent pharmacist, go and support this, because if we all get behind it, we can really push some great things.
Yeah, staying engaged is the most important thing.
Yeah, stay engaged, you network, you meet friends, you know, I mean, you meet people that, you know, you're gonna be friends with your entire life, that you work with and you have a working relationship with toward these goals. Like, everything that we've done, like the PUT board of directors, half of which I can't really talk about right now, but we've done a lot of things lately, and putting this together and really coming out and going at Express Scripts like this is just the beginning. And a lot of it is because of our working relationship with each other, because we're all friends, and because we believe in each other. Like, most people would not give me a microphone and be like, Jeremy, go live. That is a bad decision half the time. But Monique trusts me, and she knows that I'm not going to fly too far off the handle when I'm representing us.
You know, I've heard, you know, a couple of people came up to me and they said, I appreciate all that you do. I don't have a big voice to you. I'm just a pharmacist. But, you know, at one point, me and Shane were just pharmacists. I was just a pharmacist with a YouTube channel, and my only follower was my mom, you know. So to grow it to what it is today, just, you know, use the voice that you have, just come out, whatever you want to support, whether it's PBM reform or understaffing, just get out and do what you can. Every extra voice helps, so everybody's important. So just get involved some way, somehow. If you don't know where to start, just start with your state pharmacy organization. Start from there, and then branch out.
Start with PUT. We're down in the trenches doing this stuff.
And PUT.
We need more resources. Like, just like an hour's worth of wages a month is all we ask for, and you can give us even less. We don't care. We mostly, it's been so much money. We need voices. We need heads. Like, we're putting together state organizations that go and complement the actual, like, state organizations. Like, we're helping right now VPHA. Right now we've got a Vendies group that we've got going on where we're organizing, and we're trying to replicate what they did in Kentucky to get those laws passed, where you have a bunch of people that are getting together and they're coordinating a lot of pushes with their politicians, because they have all of those personal relationships and they're pulling all their strings to force these things through. It's so important to try to communicate with one another. And for the longest time, pharmacists were really scared because they were like, oh, we can't collectively bargain, or we can't do this. I'm telling you right now, you can. You can come together and you can talk about this stuff, because the FTC ain't coming at us. They're going at them, because we don't have any actual power. If we did not come out and start like flaunting these gag orders and doing what we do, no one would know about this. They would have just continued ripping everyone off forever. It would have just continued perpetually, indefinitely. We came out and we started speaking out against it. We went out away from our contracts and started telling lawmakers this was going on, started telling regulators this was going on, started telling the public this was going on. And that's the only reason things have started getting done. We have to not be quiet. We have to scream when we're being squeezed.
Absolutely. There is enough problems that exist in pharmacy now that we need enough voices to combat those problems. And every pharmacist out there, I encourage you, just like Maurice said, I'm only a pharmacist, I'm only a technician. All of this affects all of us. So we need to be out there. We need to go online, start an argument with somebody, repost something that one of us says, follow the, go come on the podcast, ask questions, do those kind of things, because a lot of times Maurice and I get pushed back because we try to be comedians. Maurice might put something up that someone doesn't like. I might say something on Twitter that gets me in trouble. But you know what? You have an audience built in when you really try to do something where you advocate. So yeah, maybe someone might look at drinking while talking about pharmacy isn't a good look. I don't care what the look is, someone's still looking. And that's important. Having eyes and getting people to know. We had the NCPA president on here talking about how we need to activate patients. Well, guess what? Patients don't really understand the nuances of PBMs, but they understand a joke on the internet. So if you can get those people engaged when you're ready to give them the message, you fucking trick them into being there for the message. And that's what we need. People like you guys.
Yeah, and it's like I get email all the time, every day, from these pharmacists, and they're like, we discovered your podcast, and you gave us hope again. And I mean, that really like hit me in a lot of ways, because it's like, to me, I get on and like I'll talk to like you all or something. I'm having fun and I'm drinking, and I just speak to what's going on, and I speak what's in my heart, and these people are, it's resonating with them, and I think that's something that needs to be talked about more. Is there is will to do these things, and there is a lot of energy behind these things. We just need to focus it and hone it, and that's actually what I talked to Doug Hoey about earlier. Is we've got to get all of this, and we've got to focus it in, and we've got to use it. And if we do that, I think we can actually turn this around. Like, just a few years ago, no one thought it was going to be at this level, that there was going to be this kind of awareness, and here it is. Here we are. Like all of you out there, get involved if you care. Get involved, because I was just like some rando on Twitter who mostly tweeted about Virginia Tech football, but I started tweeting more about this kind of stuff, and I mean, it resonated. Do that, and before I know it, like, you got Lena Khan messaged me thanking me for my advocacy and helping push through a 6B study and bringing attention to it. That's cool as fucking shit. And I'm just me. I'm just a foul-mouthed drunken pharmacist.
I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that Mark Cuban liked one of your posts, and then I think he retweeted it. Yeah. I was like, this is a big deal.
Yeah, Mark, we've done a little bit of work with Mark. I've emailed with him back and forth about a few things. He's actually tentatively coming on the podcast eventually.
Wow.
He said he wants to. I thought that was cool as shit. So yeah, that's happening. So yeah, it's one of those things. Get out there, advocate, talk, because you're a pharmacist. You're smart. That's the thing. You see what's going on. You have more access to data than most of the brokers. You have more access to data than most of anyone, really. You're looking at it. Look at the good work Antonio's doing at 46 Brooklyn. He's really diving into a lot of this data, and he's really brought to light all of these practices. We have access to so much. Start using it. Start talking about it. Because we're smart. We know how to look at these things and see what's going on, and we know how to call it out. And whenever people are, the industry experts used to poo-poo at us, that's not really happening. You just don't understand. Where the fuck are you now? Turns out we were right.
I think something that Shane said earlier, just about how we all kind of are intertwined. I know I do as well as Shane, especially with the Guild. We've had recently, the other day, I just had an interview with Wall Street, and we've talked to numerous outlets. But when we talk about understaffing, we always bring up PBMs and the need for PBM reforms. And when we have these conversations, eventually there's an article in Wall Street or Cranes or USA Today, and so it helps to spotlight PBM reform as well as the understaffing. So that's how I like to think that it's all intertwined to help attack two issues in retail pharmacy.
Yeah.
And pharmacy in general with the PBMs.
It's huge. You go out and I've talked to these big companies, and the people in charge of their benefits, I was talking about it earlier, they don't actually know what happens on this side of things. They don't see the money flows like that. They're just, brokers a lot of times, or they're people who, have been in the industry so long that they don't know what it looks like outside of their ass. They just don't.
I never knew as a retail pharmacist. Customers used to yell at me and say, you know how much money you're making off me, when in reality we probably were losing money off of their prescriptions.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't let the chain pharmacists see how much these cost for a reason. That's because on a lot of the cheap meds, they're getting overcharged out of hell, and on a lot of the expensive meds, it's they're paying a lot on it, and they're not having to actually pay much of a copay. They like to keep pharmacists in the dark because they can call this stuff out. And after looking at some of the net pricing and some of the other stuff going on, I really encourage everyone, when 46 Brooklyn's report comes out in the next couple of days, look at it. Like Antonio showed me some of the data. It's incredible how much they've like moved money over to like mail order and specialty drugs and cut it away from us, while telling employers, oh yeah, you know, you increase your spend, but it's specialty. Look at all these other drugs. Like, we've saved you a bunch of money there, when really the employers are getting screwed, and they have no clue that's happening, because they don't understand the system. It's complex, and you know, it's so complex. I mean, most people don't bother to understand it, even in this industry. We're being forced to understand it. The problem is they've forced us to have to understand it. The PBMs, the conglomerates, they've forced us to have to understand vertical integration, and that's why you have pharmacists now as some of the biggest anti-monopoly activists there are. Like, they activated us.
Yeah, this is not the free market at work. This is not the free market at work. When you talk about them transferring all their stuff to specialty and mail order, what the problem is now, when you go into an independent pharmacy with a prescription for a specialty drug, be it a HIV medication or a behavioral health injection, there's a huge red flag. You as a pharmacy owner, you don't want to fill that medication 90% of the time, because you're taking $100 plus hit on that drug. So how can it be benefit in a free market? It wouldn't exist like this. How can it be just not even a possibility for you, but something that the specialty pharmacy, their in-house pharmacy, wants to service, because they're getting reimbursed at a different rate than everybody else that's supposed to be their competition?
I'm going to tell you right now, it's not just a different rate. It is magnitudes higher. Yes. This report's going to blow some shit up, what I'm telling you. It is magnitudes higher, and that's why when I talk to employers and I tell them, like, you realize that specialty drugs are just normal fucking drugs most of the time. They don't need any special treatment. They're like, well, what about refrigeration? You think I don't have a fridge? Like, they tell them insane things, and they're like, oh, but these drugs are specialty. We have to pay extra for them. No, you don't. You never have. You've been sold a bill of goods here.
We have to hire a pharmacist to stare at it for 5 hours till we give it to the patient. Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to go say hello to Loretta real quick before she gets out of here.
Yeah. Tell Loretta to come over and say hello to me.
Okay. See you, Shane.
I appreciate you.
Take it easy.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry. My stage keeps going a little crazy if I do it this way. We're running on battery power / a lot of things right now. But yeah, hey, here's Brandy, one of the biggest badasses in pharmacy I've ever known. Yeah, probably. It is probably there. My equipment's been knocked around quite a bit by other people. But it's okay. Next time I'll know better, and there's going to be a few next times, let me tell you. We've got some big things planned. Ain't that right, Brandy?
That's right.
Yeah.
I can't hear. Am I supposed to hear?
Oh, yeah. Here, let me fix it for you. Come on. There we go. Can you hear now, Brandy?
I don't know. Say something.
No. I can hear you guys.
There we go.
All right, there we go. All right. Yeah.
Hey, Shane, thanks for the follow.
Hey, yeah. Brandy, thank you. I hope you guys are having a great time. Looks like an awesome turnout.
Absolutely. It has been very inspiring and moving, and it's such an exciting time. I think there's such a shift in the country at the grassroots level, as well as, you know, the federal level, state level. I just think it's such an exciting time, and to me this is so fantastic because, you know, people are no longer afraid to speak out, and today is a perfect example of that. So I'm so proud of everyone here. I'm so proud of Jeremy. His voice is amazing. I tell people all the time that, you know, Jeremy says the quiet things out loud, and that's what has to happen and has to continue happening. So
yeah, and Brandy does a whole lot of great work. She is out here fighting every day for everyone. Like, I cannot heap more praise on this woman. Like, I admire her in so many ways. If you all haven't met Brandy, take the time to meet Brandy because she is incredible.
Thank you.
So Brandy, could you answer a question for me today?
Absolutely.
I wanted to know what was the biggest thing. What stuck out for you the most today? What was like the most impactful little nugget of wisdom you got from the speakers or anything?
It's probably not so much about the information, but to me, so I literally just met someone that works for one of the big three wholesalers. They're
Dom McCrick?
No, actually, she was very, very nice and extremely concerned and supportive.
I mean, their bosses aren't helping us any, but
yeah, well. And then a transparent PBM group was here. You know, we've got attorneys here. There are so many different facets of the healthcare landscape that are here, and I just started videoing them with my phone. I was like, hey, tell me why you're here today. What does this mean to you? And it's crazy. Every single person, they're from all of these different sectors of healthcare, and it's all the same thing. It's patient steering, patient access, the cost to patients, but every single one of them said our independent pharmacies are being destroyed and we're not okay with it. So to me, that tells me that our message is getting out there, but they've known it all along and they're seeing it happen. And now they're not afraid to come here and support us and speak out. That's huge. It's huge.
It's true. They have known it all along, but they're starting to see what's happening because of it. It's hard to ignore those numbers when you hear, 2,000 pharmacies have decided to close their doors. That's when it really does start to affect towns large and small across the country.
Absolutely. So I've been doing some pharmacy closures tracking, and I reached out to the Texas State Board of Pharmacy to get the latest numbers. So I requested, can you send me the spreadsheet of pharmacies that have closed from June of 2023 through May of 2024. So what they did is they actually went back and they sent me June of 2022 through May of 2024. I just got this report yesterday morning when I was walking into a meeting, and it was 894 pharmacies in the state of Texas.
Disgusting.
And 400 of those were independent pharmacies. Like, just let that sink in for a minute.
It's eradication. We're being eliminated.
400 independent pharmacies. And if you think, the state of Texas is huge, but also we have a lot of rural areas. And I haven't even gotten to plot it out yet, but I'm like, I had no clue. I was not expecting that number. When I opened it up, I had to close it and reopen it multiple times. And I'm like, is this real? 894 pharmacies? Like, what?
Yeah, and just think about all the pharmacy deserts you've probably created in the span of 1 year. How many pharmacy deserts now exist in the state of Texas?
Right. I was like, I can't even believe this. The last number I saw was we had 1,700 independent pharmacies in the state of Texas, and I think that was from 2021 maybe. It was probably 2021. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what, 25%?
Yeah.
Of the little less than 25%? And we've got to tell this story in Texas. We are a state that our legislature only meets every 2 years. So we're in an off year right now. But don't think I won't be walking into the office Monday and making some phone calls to get this information out, because our state convention is taking place May 28th. And I want to make sure that they know exactly what's happening. So when we head into the legislative session in 2025, we've got a plan in place.
Yeah. And that's why, us talking about it, us coming out and doing this stuff is so important, because it gets people talking and brings attention to it. And I have really bad news for Express Scripts and all the rest of them. If you're a PBM and a conglomerate, we are all having a lot of fun this weekend, and we'll continue to do this because it's fun. We'll do it just for the shit of it.
Yeah.
Hell, we'll do it just to spite them, but it's also fun. So
Yeah.
we're going to continue doing this and calling attention to this until they actually try to fix their ways. Otherwise, we're going to do everything that we can to eliminate that industry in whatever ways that we can. And it may not seem like we have that kind of power. I believe that we can do it because we do have a lot of on our side, and a lot is going on, and we do have the ability to push back, and I encourage everyone to get involved and try to push back. You can start at truthrx.org.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've had such an influx of members, and
Yeah.
you know, I have to give so much credit to Jeremy for that, because
you're recruiting just as good as I am.
Jeremy, you know, he is the voice for everyone that doesn't know how to say it, or is just so pissed off that they can't say it because they're so afraid they're going to be like politically incorrect. And you know, Jeremy's like, forget it, I'm just saying it, like somebody's got to say it. And so I love that. I'm super excited for what's to come, because you know, this is just the beginning, and we will get the attention that we need to get, and it's coming. Like, we're coming for you.
We're going to keep fighting every day. We're going
Absolutely.
for it. Like, we're not going to stop. And I think that's what has been important, is we've had leaders like Brandy step up, and everyone like Shane, everything that you're doing, we've had people just step up and say, no, I'm going to actually try to do something about it. And it's a lot of people with a lot of good ideas. You're a pharmacist. You're smart. You know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, you've got access to data that most people would die to have, as far as seeing what's going on in the healthcare system. You can figure things out. Take a look. If you see something weird, talk about it. Take it to somebody. Hell, take it to us. We have ways that you can submit that. Submit us everything. Trust me. We'll make it go places.
We'll get it to where it needs to
Get it
go.
to where it needs to go. For sure.
Shane, what you're doing, I think it's so exciting. I will tell you right now, I fully expect to see the Pharmacy Guild at the next protest. So you're going to make that happen, right?
For sure. You know, we had Maurice there because he was the closest. I was telling Jeremy earlier, we've been given a lot of resources from IAM, the parent union that started to launch the Pharmacy Guild. So we went to APHA, we went to Western Pharmacy Exchange, but these protests are really important, because the only pushback we got on the labor piece from anyone was independent pharmacies. They said, you need to be aware of what's going on with PBM reform. It's life or death for all of us out there. And really, that we understand. We want to grow to the point where we could be able to help push forth this legislation and regulatory reform that's necessary. I feel like independent pharmacists are going to be our allies in trying to organize collectively places like CVS and Walgreens and Rite Aid and Walmart. We want to be able to level the playing field, because that's one of the levers they push all the time. When maybe they're hurting on the reimbursement a little bit, but what they end up doing is just decreasing their labor. They got technicians that are 40 hours a week, all of a sudden are down to 30 hours a week. They don't pay appropriately, those kind of things. We have to level the playing field, because independent pharmacies, I know you guys take care of your technicians, you guys take care of your pharmacists, and the work-life balance is way better, because you guys are really like a family in most of those places, and you're just a number in a place like Walgreens or CVS.
No.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You know, how many CVS, Walgreens, Walmarts, whatever, can you walk in and every person that walks through the door, they're gonna say, hey, how's it going? And they know you by name. They know your family. They know your history. So many times I'll be in my office, and you know, I'll just pop on the cameras, and you know, there's sound and I can listen, and I just watch, like, someone comes in and they're immediately greeted by name, and then they start chatting, and you know, we're like, oh yeah, you know, what happened with your dog, or hey, how's your sister doing? You know, like, you know, their stories. It's truly
that's a great thing to have that connection. But think about how much safer patients are because of that. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
So many medication errors are just caught because you know Catherine, you know their children, you know what disease states they have, because they're real people to you. They are real patients. They're not a customer, they are patients.
Yep, absolutely. You know, I tell the stories all the time about when patients have come into my pharmacy and we have known immediately something was not right. Something was going on. And I actually had a family member come in, it was a couple months ago, and she came in and she said, I just want to let you know that you saved my dad's life. And we were like, what do you mean? And I didn't even know who this person was. And so she starts, she tells me the patient's name. And I was like, oh, yeah, because they came into the pharmacy. We knew something was off. Their blood sugars were all out of whack. But we just took one look at them and knew. And we were like, hey, you got to call your doctor. No, hold on. Let me call your doctor. I got the doctor on the phone, and the doctor says, get them to the ER now. Like, they got to go to the ER. And we were like, yep, let's go. And had that patient have gone home and spent the weekend alone without their family there,
Loretta,
you don't know what would have happened,
Hey, Loretta, you want to come say hello to everybody? Yeah, well, they're taking the tables now, so we've got to start wrapping it up. But we had to bring in the lady herself before they take my table away. And I can't believe it's been just a round of applause for putting this together. Look what you did. Look what you did.
Oh, is that his mic? This is Mike. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I'm new at this, so I'm learning a lot.
No, you're good. I handled it to you because I wasn't sure if you had to do.
How's it going, Loretta? Congratulations.
No, tell everyone. Say hello to the 865 people that are live tuned in.
Wow, that's great. Well, hi everyone. I'm so thankful to everybody here. Hi Shane. It has been an emotional day for me. I think as it really started kicking off, I graduated at this building right across the street from here, my degree in social work, and never did I ever think I would be sitting across the street protesting, these corporations that I had learned so much about. So seeing just the amazing turnout today brings me so much hope that maybe pharmacy will be saved from the pharmacy benefit managers destroying it. I hope that legislators and regulators will see this as a sign, like this is serious, and we're only going to keep building and getting started. You see these pharmacists here, they're no longer fearful of, Express Scripts. So it's a great start.
What are they going to do, pay us less?
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do, pay us less? I mean, in my case, it's like, what's the worst thing they could do? Harm my son? Well, they've already done it. These PBMs are already doing it. So
you came out and you just, I started noticing you like doing your stuff like years ago, and I was like, yeah, it's good to see patients getting involved. Like she really knows what she's talking about. This is great. And you really put yourself into it, and it blew up, and your message has just resonated with so many, including pharmacists, including physicians. And we've needed someone like you for a while, because a lot of times on the pharmacist side, on the doctor side, or whatever, it's, we don't feel like a lot of times we didn't have like patient support, if that makes sense. And it's because you don't expect like patients to try to get into the system. They make it this complicated to keep people from casually getting into it, because it's boring. Like, it's fucking boring. Yeah. And what are you going to do? Be like, you know what I'm going to do today? Read up on PBMs. Like, they're not going to do it. And the fact that you got this many people interested in it and going out, and we actually have patients allied with us, it's so huge to us. And I cannot express how much that means to me and other people. It really means a lot.
Well, I can't express
it's
how
true
much it
because
means to me.
Loretta has humanized healthcare for so many people out there. The story of you and what you went through to protect your son, that's what humanizes healthcare for so many people. So I just want, while there's 800 people listening, Loretta, I know the amount of work that you put in behind the scenes. I can't even imagine how you sustain a life and do all the things that you do to advocate online. You're on every platform. I see you tweeting. I see you on Facebook. I see you running social media pages, doing events like this. It's amazing what you've managed to accomplish, and I applaud all of your work. And I promise, if you put this there again, I will have every member of the Pharmacy Guild, all the co-founders will be there. We will make it happen.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Shane. I look forward to it. This is only the first one. We will be doing more. And I have to say, I couldn't do this without the pharmacists who embraced me, who are willing to lift me up, educate me, teach me about PBMs, because I wanted to know what was going on in the system that was causing all this patient harm. And if I can do that, I know that many other patients can. So I appreciate the Pharmacy Guild. I appreciate Pharmacists United for Truth and Transparency, and all the ways that they've helped me, because I thought it might just be me, maybe 20 people, but as this grew to 20, way more than 20, but more like 200 people, I'm going to need some help. So no way I could do this on my own. I appreciate all the support.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Like we've got goals that are aligned, and you're a good person, and you have a great message, and we're always going to support that.
Well, thank you. Anything I can do to support your causes as well. You know, it's really all about. It's about patient safety, all of this is, and it's about saving lives and America's public health system.
Yeah. Retta, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
We've got to wrap it up.
All right.
Everyone,
Thank you so
Loretta,
much. Congratulations, guys. You did a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank everyone out there listening. It's been a great day. More to come. You all are great.
Pharmacy on.
Join
Pharmacy
PUT.
on.
TruthRx.org, everyone.